for the 2017-18 budget, with its much heightened publicity that something good was coming in that budget. Madam Speaker, the people waited with some ray of hope from a government which claimed to put people first, a government which claimed that it had better negotiating skills than the people who were before them. But, Madam Speaker, the people's hope were dampened when a budget yielding nothing for the economy, and an economy which needed much injection after 2 years of languish. Madam Speaker, on Monday, 23rd April 2018, with no fanfare and no budget heightened expectation, the Honourable Minister of Finance presented his 2018-19 budget to this Honourable House. Late, yes, Madam Speaker, in comparison to last year. 2.5 months last year later, that's fine. There's some progress. But I was hoping, Madam Speaker, that there would be some progress in the contents. Madam Speaker, sad to say, neither the people who are listening nor members of the opposition actually felt that something was there for them and for the country this year. As I listened, Madam Speaker, to the Honourable Minister presenting his budget, I recognized then that this budget was not going to be any different. Or rather, should I say, that this budget presents very little, much more than previous budgets had done. Anything that will alleviate the hardship that the people of Montserrat has been going through over these past years. Madam Speaker, as I listened, I noticed that the achievements in this budget, in last year's budget, was basically routine. And similarly, Madam Speaker, the programs for the 2018-19 budget is also very routine. Should I say, Madam Speaker, they are mundane activities. Activities, Madam Speaker, which will not contribute significantly to economic activities. And what this country really needs, Madam Speaker, is activities that will stimulate the economy so that people who are on welfare would want to come off, Madam Speaker, and find meaningful employment. Madam Speaker, I note that the number, the cost to social welfare has gone up over the past year. And I beg to say, Madam Speaker, that the only reason why this happens is because people are not able to find meaningful occupation, meaningful employment. And as a result, Madam Speaker, the only option they have is to revert to the Social Welfare Department for assistance, be it one-off or long-term. Madam Speaker, with due respect, and I applaud the effort that the government has made in certain areas, and I will continue to applaud them when things are going well, or when it is something good. But, Madam Speaker, when I look at the budget statement, except some minor variation in changes in the numbers, in the figures, either up or down, it seems to me, Madam Speaker, that all what happened is that some paragraphs were cut from last year's budget and placed in this year's budget. Some were cut from the other year's budget and placed in this. Basically, Madam Speaker, it's a cut and paste. And thanks to technology, Madam Speaker, we are able to move sentences and paragraphs around with very little substance. And that's exactly, Madam Speaker, what happened in this budget. Madam Speaker, having done some comparison of the contents of previous budgets over the past years, I found that some paragraphs were identical in some instances and modified slightly in others. That being the case, Madam Speaker, it seems to me that over these 4 budget cycles, budget statements are becoming more like election manifestos. And this is no exception. Plenty of promises, but these promises keep rolling over and over year after year. Sounds like manifestos, Madam Speaker. We make promises, but we're not able to fulfill those promises. But Madam Speaker, let me give the PDM administration some credit. Maybe, Madam Speaker, just maybe, these learned gentlemen is preparing to allow the people of this country to sink deeper and deeper into poverty for 4 long years, so that it can come in the 5th year with some niceties, in which case it would hope that the people would have forgotten the 4 years of dearth and begin to rejoice again. Madam Speaker, by that I mean, suffer for 5 years. In the 5th year, we come with some handouts to make us forget that we went through hard times for 4 years. I hope, Madam Speaker, that's not the case. Not election promises, not election gimmicks. Because I heard, Madam Speaker, one of the members on the other side talking about election next month and election the other month. But I hope that there's no discussion within the grouping, Madam Speaker. Or maybe there should be. Maybe there should. And I guess they want a copy, because I know some things have been said about our neighboring countries, and maybe, who knows, maybe they may advise. But we will see. Madam Speaker, by disguising their failures, in the last year, with a couple of months' work, they are hoping that people would want to forget, the hardship which they endured for 4 years. But, Madam Speaker, some of us are too young to know this. And some members on the other side know fairly well that there was a certain phrase in the 1980s used by a certain politician. A phrase which I will not insult the people of this country with by repeating it. But, Madam Speaker, I strongly believe that some members on the government side still believe in that phrase, to the point that they will put our people to the limit, as they have done and still is doing, allowing them to suffer, and then come running and say, here we are again. Madam Speaker, the phrase that people don't remember things, and I won't repeat it in its totality. And I lead people who understand what I'm saying and who know about the phrase to say it loud and clear. But, Madam Speaker, once bitten, twice shy. Madam Speaker, I wish to quote from the Honourable Minister of Finance budget statement page 5. Sorry, Madam Speaker. Sorry, it's right here. Sorry. Page 5. Therefore, and because the paragraphs are not numbered, Madam Speaker, I hope you can follow me, because they're not numbered. It makes it a little difficult to reference. I quote, Madam Speaker, therefore, the theme we have set for this year's budget is advancing in our journey to self-sufficiency through strategic investment. The theme reflects a number of strategic breakthroughs realized in 2017-18 that can credibly lead to sustainable growth in our economy. which is the outcome of the vision of my government presented in 2015-2016. 2015-16, 2016-17, 2017-18. So the vision has been in place for 3 years. And we are now told, Madam Speaker, that they finally arrived. But I've not seen anything in the budget, Madam Speaker, which tells me that they have finally arrived for a takeoff, and that this country and this country's economy is going to take off as soon as the minister signs the warrant for expenditure. There's nothing that tells me that the country is going to take off. As a matter of fact, Madam Speaker, what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, is projects that have a lifespan of 4 years. And even then, Madam Speaker, in terms of short-term and medium-term benefits to this country, they are absent. Sure enough, Madam Speaker, I must give them credit, these projects might have some long-term implications for its long-term benefits. But what of the short term? What of the medium term? Which one of these projects will provide jobs in the next 6 months, the next 12 months? That is crucial. And that is what the opposition is asking you. Tell us which program and projects in your budget will provide jobs within the next 6 months or the next 12 months. Because unless you do that, the people of this country will continue to suffer. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister in his address speaks to 5 pillars or 5 projects. The seaport, and I will speak to them at a later date individually, Madam Speaker. The seaport. Then the second one is that he went to Brussels and signed off for 83? EDF 11 funds. Thirdly, Madam Speaker, the subsea optic fiber, geothermal, early market engagement, and the economic growth strategy. So, Madam Speaker, the question I ask of the Honourable Minister of Finance is, which of these projects are going to bring short-term or medium-term benefits to the population of this country? Which of them? They are good projects, mark you. I'm not saying no. But they have no immediate impact on the lives and livelihood of our people. And what I'm concerned about right now, Madam Speaker, is how people are making it. There are some people who are barely making two ends meet. And they're looking from us as leaders to provide some escape, some hope, something that will tell them it's worthwhile staying on this island, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm in a position to sign forms for travel documents, Madam Speaker. And over the past 6 months, Madam Speaker, the number of persons who are applying for UK passport is growing. And that is telling me one thing. It's telling me that they're heading someplace else. With a small population, Madam Speaker, our intention is to grow the population. And the only way we can grow it is to keep people here and provide something for them to do. But that is not happening, Madam Speaker. I guess the government will want 10 years to do that, or 15 years. But in the interim, people are suffering. And maybe, just maybe, Madam Speaker, some of us don't believe or don't think that people are suffering because we don't know. People don't complain to us. But I can tell you that if you walk on the street, you're going to villages, you're getting the complaints, and you feel it for some people, Madam Speaker. And maybe we don't care because we're getting our salary at month end. Maybe you're all right. But what about the individual, Madam Speaker, who has children going to school, has to provide tea, breakfast, and dinner, country old people, Madam Speaker, has to buy school bus ticket, buy uniform, Madam Speaker, and there are no jobs. People will work. And I'm not saying that there's absolutely no jobs. I'm not saying that at all. But the kind of job for some people does not exist in this country. Yes, if you're a carpenter, the private sector is doing something, so you get some jobs. And of course, let me commend the road works. And thanks, Madam Speaker, there is some work going on the road. And I must compliment the Ministry of Communication and Works and the Minister. But that is short term. There are projects, and when they're wound up, Madam Speaker, there's nothing else. So what we start doing, searching for little projects here and there to keep people happy. That's not what we want, Madam Speaker. We are looking for long-term projects that will contribute to our economy and create jobs. And not even jobs, Madam Speaker, but create wealth. Because it's one thing to live from hand to mouth. It's one thing to do that. But what you want, Madam Speaker, is to create wealth for your people so that they can remain here. That is crucial. Madam Speaker, as I said, I will address these issues a little later. I further quote from the Honourable Premier's statement, Madam Speaker. And I quote, "Today is significant for another reason." And in referencing the 250th celebration of the aborted slave rebellion in 1768, Madam Speaker, the Honourable Premier wrote, "We stand here today as a democratically elected government of free men and women working together to move our nation forward." Free men and women working together to move our nation forward. Nice words. Working together to move our nation forward. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister of Agriculture referenced on a number of times work together. Let's work together. And I agree with him. Let's work together. But how can we work together if you're not invited to work together, Madam Speaker? How can the opposition work with the government if no invitation is extended to the opposition, Madam Speaker, to do anything? How can the opposition work together, Madam Speaker, when it seems as though some members of the government side are afraid of the opposition? For what reason, Madam Speaker? When I meet with an external agency, Madam Speaker, I am a monstration. And my focus is on monstrat. I do not bad talk people behind the back of other people because we are all monstrations. But, Madam Speaker, for whatever reason, we have not been invited to nothing. As a matter of fact, we haven't even seen the report. The last farm took place in January. And we have not even seen, not even the skeleton of that report, Madam Speaker. We can't change nothing. All we have to do is to work with you. We have a policy on the opposition side. There are certain things we don't disclose because as a trade unionist, and my colleague on the loose to tell you, when you get certain information, you have to keep it, or else you get no more. Am I correct? You get no more. So there's certain information that we don't discuss. So if you share something with me, I'm not going to go away the much on viewpoint and say it. We do it with confidence. But for heaven's sake, Madam Speaker, we cannot work together unless we are given the invitation. Madam Speaker, David have talked in Montserrat, and the opposition have never been invited to talk to the faith. When a certain member on the other side, Madam Speaker, was in a certain position, time was given for discussion. That is what you call working together. Mark you. Our ideas may not be taken, but at least the opportunity should be given so that you can hear from us. But it seems to me, Madam Speaker, that the opposition is not considered as part of anything. We're in Parliament, yes, but that's about it. Sometimes the way we're treated, sometimes, Madam Speaker, you'll be surprised. But let's not go down the road. As I'm simply saying, Madam Speaker, working together as free men, we are working together, but we are divided. That may sound funny. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Or should I pluralize it instead? Madam Speaker, men and women. No, I agree. Sometimes we have a tendency of leaving out the ladies. That's a fact. Us men, we seem to think that we are the only one who can do things, and that's not true. And I speak because, Madam Speaker, I live in a house with all ladies. So you don't spend it for me, right? Exactly. Spend it for me. So forgive me, it's not intentional. Ladies, you are just as important, as a man, more important than some of us. More important than some of us.
Say it again.
Because when I can't find any money, my wife will say, darling, I have something put up someplace. That's how women operate. Not only that. Sorry. Sorry. If you don't have wives, you can't talk. Sorry. Madam Speaker, okay, let's get a little more serious to Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to ask, how free a people are we? How free a people are we? Yes, we vote in election. Yes, we vote freely for our representatives in Parliament. Yes, we meet. But is that what we call freedom? Freedom for our nation? Freedom to move forward? When this administration, Madam Speaker, has placed this country into reverse gear, surrendering to another power the gains which our ancestors fought for since the inception of universal adult suffrage. Our ancestors, Madam Speaker, W.H. Bramble, Austin P. Bramble, John Osborne, Reuben Mead, and Lowell Lewis. Madam Speaker, these men had a vision for this country, forward-looking, backward never. And no force, no individual, no groups of persons could have persuaded them to go back or to go against their consciences for this country. Madam Speaker, they never intended and never did sold their birthright to anyone, much less for 30 pieces of silver. Compromise, yes, Madam Speaker, but not surrendering. That was the focus of those people, those politicians who came before us. It was always this country first. And it was harder then, I believe. Some people say no, it's harder now. But you see, when we create problems for ourselves, and my colleague, Honorable Dr. Sammy, will tell you that I say to him, be careful what you say when you're in opposition, because you might become the government and it come back to haunt you. Be careful. And so there are certain things I don't say among some people. I might say it among us, but I will not say it among some people. So sometimes we say things, Madam Speaker, and forget same thing will haunt us when the shoe is on the other foot. How free? Madam Speaker, the question is, the people who we are surrendering this country to does not have a willingness, or may I ask the question, do they have that willingness to help this country rise out of a state of dependency to one of self-sufficiency? The people who we are surrendering this country to, do they have the willingness to assist us to rise from a state of dependency into a state of self-dependency? And that's a question and an answer. That's an answer that we must ask, we must answer ourselves. Madam Speaker, is depending on people for handouts, is that significant stepping going forward? But Madam Speaker, forgive me, but it seems as though some people have found a government with whom they can work to reverse the ambitions of a people who are willing to rise from the ashes and build their country. And they're laughing at us. Madam Speaker, there are times when as leaders, we have to be bold. Sometimes we have to stand up and fight. Even if you lose sometimes, stand up and fight. Sometimes as leaders, you have to say no to some people or some things. No. In order for you to get where you want to go. Madam Speaker, sometimes we think that we must always say yes to everything and end up getting nothing. But a leader, any good leader would tell you there are times you have to say no and fight your case, even though you're begging. And we're not begging. Madam Speaker, we are a people. Monstrosians are a people who are willing to take their hands out of the pocket of their motherland and stand on their own 2 feet. The only thing we need, and I'm speaking for the government now, the only thing we need is for them to help us to lay the foundation so that we can take off. In the absence of that, Madam Speaker, we'll continue to be people on dole. And you all know what dole means, right? You know what dole is? When you go to England and you're not working, you go to government, you get dole. And that's only enough to keep you, or to keep bread in your mouth. You can never survive on that. Monstrosians are not people like that. In this country, we don't depend on dole. We want to have substantive investment in this country so that we can rise from the ashes and be proud of ourselves. Madam Speaker, I am willing to work with the Honourable Premier. I will to speak on his behalf if I have to. But sometimes we're not given the opportunity, so I think we have the answers. And we continue to where we are. Madam Speaker, sorry about that, I'm getting it all lost between my books. Madam Speaker, we talk about the economy. And we're talking about the projected growth rate of, for next year, a couple of years, 5%. We talk about the region average growth about 2.5 to 1.8%, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in the September review, ECCB September Economic Review, Financial Review of Montserrat, they claim that, and I quote, Madam Speaker, from page 53 in the ECCB report September quarter. Growth for talking to Montserrat. Growth for 2017 has been revised downward from what was estimated at the beginning of the year, in September. Given the lackluster performance of the economy in the first 9 months of the year. What they're saying, Madam Speaker, is that from January to September last year, we were doing pretty well, apparently. But after that, they project a downward slide in terms of the rate of the economy. And our leaders would attribute it to the hurricane. Madam Speaker, I am glad that the Premier finally came home to roost and started talking to the people of Montserrat about Brexit. Because the ECCB attributed this downward slide of our economy to a few things. One is Brexit. The downward risk, I quote, Madam Speaker, from the Economic Financial Review of Caribbean Central Bank. The downward risk are the Brexit negotiation, limited air and sea access, natural disasters, and possible disruption and implementations of development projects to restore the island's infrastructure. In fact, Madam Speaker, they are saying that, or the bank is saying, that failing to implement, as one of the conditions, one of the failures, failing to implement government's projects and to restore the infrastructure of the country is going to create a further decline in the economy of Montserrat. Also, Madam Speaker, that the uncertainty surrounding Brexit, and Madam Speaker, in this House wisdom, the wisdom of this House about 2 years ago, Madam Speaker, 2 years ago, we asked for discussion on Brexit. And I think some members took it lightly. Because when I listened to the presentation, Madam Speaker, I don't think that there was any seriousness to the members of this House as to the implication of Brexit on Montserrat's economy, both from the UK and from the European Union. I don't think so. But I'm very pleased, Madam Speaker, that the Premier finally said that this could be a problem for us. And we need, as a matter of fact, unquote, we need to start talking more about Brexit, Madam Speaker, in this country. Because it has implications for economy. Leaving the European Union also have implications, long-term implications. Yes, we boast that we got some money on the EDF 10, and that's fine. That tranche of money was there from last year, the year. That's fine. But what happens 2019 or after, or 2021, when Britain finally leaves the UK? What will be the strength of the UK economy? And will they be able to contribute to our economy, giving us more or less than $78 million to our budget? We need it, because we cannot survive without that right now. But will they be able to continue to subsidize our budget if the economy falls into a state of disrepair? What will be our position with the European Union? Madam Speaker, the UK government has given a contract earlier this year, late last year, to print some blue passports. It means that the British, they are preparing to leave, or when they leave the UK, when they leave the European Union, Madam Speaker, they will have a passport. Under the EU arrangement, Montserrat, because of the UK, Montserrat benefits from EU. The question, Madam Speaker, when the UK leaves the EU, what will be our travel arrangements? What will our travel documents would look like? And I said it a few weeks ago at the Wages, and I said again, Madam Speaker, those of us who are young enough would understand that previously Montserratians had to wait for somebody from the embassy in Barbados to come to Montserrat every 6 months, and you would receive an entry certificate to go to the United Kingdom. Although we call ourselves British, we're not really British. We are suffering. Madam Speaker, we had to receive an entry certificate to get into England. And if you went without it, they'll send you back. So that was before we were part of the, that was before we have a EU passport. When England leaves the UK, the European Union, will we allow to keep an EU passport? And if not, how will we be able to get into the UK? Will we be able to travel on our local passport into the UK without trouble? Will immigration in the UK airports stop us and say, hey, you're not British, and give you time? These are some of the consequences, Madam Speaker, of Brexit, which I think as a country and as leaders, we are taking lightly. Presently, I have a EU passport and a Montserrat passport. I use them confidently, Madam Speaker. But after 2019, what travel document will I be able to use to get into Germany, and France, or Guadeloupe? Even Guadeloupe, Madam Speaker. Because presently, Madam Speaker, we do medevacs to Guadeloupe. Because we are part of, we are EU and Caribbean people. What if, after 2019, Madam Speaker, the French say, hey, we can no longer accommodate you because the British are no longer in bed? And so, Madam Speaker, I'm hoping that from this discussion, Madam Speaker, we will be able to start talking seriously, locally, getting people to understand that there might be implications, or that there are implications for us by Britain by Britain leaving the European Union. Madam Speaker, the economy is dependent on us being able to implement whatever projects we have. And over the years, the past 3 years, we have expended all of our capital on good governance, and there's nothing to show in return. Yes, Madam Speaker, if you turn with me to page 11 of the budget statement, Madam Speaker, we notice, Madam Speaker, that we have some gains. We have some small achievements, Madam Speaker. But we also fail to utilize the resources that we had over the past year. Madam Speaker, there's a paragraph which states, similarly, Madam Speaker, despite the many perils we face, we still manage a total spend of 14.95 million, which represents 40% spent of a capital budget. That's capital budget. You didn't say that it was capital budget. So how do we expect the economy to grow? And I know there are excuses, the hurricanes and whatever, consultants and advisors and technicians, Madam Speaker, because I think I heard the Honourable Minister a few months ago blaming the technicians or the public servants, procurement, for us not being able to deliver. But we must have forward planning. If we knew that the budget was going to be 3 months late, Madam Speaker, we should have at least started to plan, because we knew exactly what was going to be the budget by March, April of last year. Similarly, Madam Speaker, I don't want anyone to tell me that the budget is late, because I think in January, Madam Speaker, the press conference between the Honourable Premier and the Deputy Representative, it was clear, Madam Speaker, that we were going to be getting monies for a current budget. It was clear, as it was said. So we knew as the public, we knew not to expect anything significant, at least not from David, not from the UK, in our budget. We knew that, because it was stated. So even though the budget took some time to come to us, and even though we got the figures 1 week ago, a week and a half ago, we knew from what we heard that there weren't going to be anything significant in terms of capital projects. But they had agreed on a recurrent budget. Madam Speaker, I must, Madam Speaker, at this point in time, commend the government a few successes. Not huge. And all departments. Because as I drive around this country and I see what's happening, there are a few achievements. I wish to commend them for that, Madam Speaker. But at the same time, Madam Speaker, I believe that we could achieve much more. There were small projects in last year's budget which should have been completed before this financial year. Should have been. And I make reference, Madam Speaker, to the Little Bay Port, the Little Bay Port Authority building. I refer, Madam Speaker, to the Golden Years home. I refer to the shed, to the departure shed at Little Bay, Madam Speaker. I refer, Madam Speaker, to the repairing of the Salem Primary School. I refer to the sewage plant at Jack Boy Hill. Madam Speaker, these are projects that have been rolling over year after year. Nobody can convince us that they could not have happened, because this is not the first year that some of these projects are in the books. They are in the statement, in the budget statement, in the budget statement, and in the estimates for the last 2 years. Some monies I see for lookout. I need explanation, but I will talk to that a little later, Madam Speaker. So yes, Madam Speaker, we were able to finally start drawing down on the £14.4 million, which has been on the books for the past 2 budget cycles. And other countries, my colleague Dr. Sami has pointed out, countries have received, but other countries have already drawn down and utilized those funds. And it seems as though we don't need them. I know you're going to tell us that we have to put certain things in place, but it takes far too long for certain things to be put in place. And whereas I commend you, I will also blame the government, Madam Speaker. Because let me be clear. I have nothing against anyone. Let me be clear. We cannot depend on government departments to implement major projects. It just does not work. It hasn't worked before, and it's not going to work now. You just cannot depend on government departments that do not have the resources to do it, Madam Speaker. So if the government is expecting departments to implement major projects, we will continue to roll over projects year after year. I say that, Madam Speaker, to say this. The project implementation unit, yes, it may have its problems, but the reason why it was implemented, it was put in place, Madam Speaker, is to do just that. Just what we failed to do, just what we cannot get done, to implement government's projects and to ensure that at the end of the financial year, there is no underspent. That these projects are carried out, not overspent, but not underspent, but the money is being spent. That was the purpose of the PIU. And look around, Madam Speaker. 5 years ago, the building, the Ministry of Communication and Works, that was a project that was done. The Ministry of Agriculture, that was a project that was done. The MCRS building, that was a project. These are all projects that were implemented by the PIU. And they are completed. But we have small projects, Madam Speaker, small projects, and we are unable to get them done because we do not have in place the mechanism to get these projects done. And as a result of that, Madam Speaker, you are not able to create employment, you're not able to help people to find jobs, and people are suffering. Now I hear the Honourable Minister talking about a program management office. A program management office. Call it what you want to call it, same thing. PIU, program management office, same thing. Because based on what I'm hearing from him, it's the same purpose, same function. But that will not work up in the Premier's office. It has to be given some authority so that it can implement projects based on certain guidelines. If you expect public servants to micromanage those projects and those individuals, this is not going to happen. They must have some ability to flex themselves and get the work done. And that is a fact. I make no bones about it. I was a public servant. And I know that government does not get anything done unless you have somebody from the private sector or somebody doing it. It doesn't happen. Mark you, we have competent public servants, but the work we ask them to do are not in their field. So we cannot ask them to do work that is not in their field. Yes, we have competent public servants. They can do what they're employed to do, but don't give them additional work that they're not equipped or they're not qualified to do. So you have to get the right people to do the right job. PIU or PMO matters not to me. Get the project rolling. Put people to work. Is that a PDM phrase? Put people to work? Or people first? That's what you want. I'm sure your ministers will agree with me that you have to put more people to work. And you cannot do it from your office. So if the Premier is micromanaging that project, I'm not saying it is, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If he's micromanaging it, please, sir, give it out. And if you, man, for me, just save face. reinstitute the PIU, attach it to a ministry or department, and let it do the work. I'm sure the minister comes and will agree with me. Attach it to him, and let it do the work. I'm sure he will agree with me. Because the only thing that was wrong is that he was not attached to a specific ministry. And that's all he shut down for. So now, reinstitute it, save face. Call the people, because some of the same people actually working in ministry comes and work now. And they have competence, they can do anything. From construction engineer, from building architect, from geothermal and all, using them for. So they're not going enough to do the project work them. So you have to consult them for that. But you're using something else. No one else speak. I'm dead serious. Reinstitute the PIU. Forget about who telling you about transparency. Yes, go through your procurement. Go through it. But let the PIU help you to manage the procurement so you roll out the projects faster. Because you are not rolling out the projects fast enough. And I say you don't mean you personally. The organized procurement unit is not rolling out the projects fast enough. And that is why we find ourselves in this mess. I don't know who you have down there. I hear all kind of people down there who can't. Anyhow, that's no more. But, please. Madam Speaker, my grandmother, I was my grandmother. And even the old proverb, where there is unity, there is what? What? I wanted to say it, not you. Where there is unity, there is what? So I said no, strength. Because, Madam Speaker, my colleague this morning, I don't have a caption for my budget. I'm debating the budget. My colleague this morning said his caption was hypocrisy. That was it? Yeah, hypocrisy. And yesterday, Madam Speaker, I sat in his house. And what hypocrisy? What hypocrisy? I'm sure that's not on parliamentary, so it's all right. A good word. Madam Speaker, I looked on Facebook last week. I have a Facebook account. I'm not a novice. I have a Facebook account. So I go on Facebook and I go on WhatsApp and I go on Twitter. I have all them. So I'm not a novice. So yeah, right. And Madam Speaker, I saw some comment about the budget. I'm going to see the budget. I'm going to see what. And I said, wait. What do you mean you don't see the budget? And they're complaining to Tom, Dick and Harry out there that they don't know what's in the budget. Tom, Dick and Harry. And yesterday, I can't be the same to the people. Ayo. Yesterday, Madam Speaker, I hear some people gallivanting because you have live streaming. Oh my. Madam Speaker, I heard some gallivanting yesterday. I couldn't believe these same people because behind back, they say who no good and who good. And in front face, the best thing is the Savior that came to the world. The best thing for the face. Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. I want you to work together. Madam Speaker, I must admit, I work with a team. And the only vexation some people have is because they didn't hear us going out there and complaining and telling how your business. We were transparent, yes. But what happened? Teeth and tongue will bite. But what happened in your house, they stop inside there. But they carried all the word, Madam Speaker. Why did they tell you? Carried all the word, Madam Speaker. Somebody sound guilty, but they're guilty. Madam Speaker, they're talking about team and behind back they cut one another's throat. Can't work so. That's why we're suffering? Maybe not. I know the Honorable David Osborne, Minister of Agriculture, is not like that. No, he's not like that. He's not like that. Right? He would tell me, you have to work with every man, you have to work with every. Right? I don't know what's behind back, but I know in front face with that. I know. But Madam Speaker, that's serious note though. I'm saying this to say that you must, in order to get the country moving, somebody has to give up something. We're not going to get everything. Minister Lewis might have to sacrifice something. Minister Osborne might have to sacrifice something for the good of the Minister of Education. This is how it works. But let me go to the budget. Because I just want to clear up something. I want the public, the Speaker's Chairman and Speaker. Budget. This document is the budget. This is what you get. This is the budget. And I know that members of the government side had this before me. And I have this about a week before the budget statement. I know that. And so for anybody to tell people that they don't want to see the budget, they don't understand. And so from Speaker's chair, we need to educate them as well, Madam Speaker. This is the budget. What the Premier did on Monday afternoon was the budget statement. And I tell you, when I was a minister, I never got that statement until the afternoon when I got in Parliament. An envelope was sitting on my desk with the statement. The Premier has the prerogative to call the statement to his chest. Because that's what my Premier used to do. When I reached Parliament in the afternoon for the budget statement, there's an envelope on my desk with a statement and I take it and open it. The opposition don't see it, that's fine. It's after you finish, you send it. And I have a problem with that because that's how we treat you. Fine. But do not tell anybody that because you didn't get the booklet, the statement, that you don't want to see the budget. Because let me tell you, and just education. What's in this budget here came from your ministries, from your various ministries, most of it. From the finance, from wherever. Most of it comes from ministries. It's prestigious. But most of the information is in this. So you see it. You had preview to it before. But the final document is for the Premier. I don't need the FSLP, but for the Premier. Right? So let's live together. Don't tell people that you don't know what's in the budget and you have the figures before you. And Greg Woodcock said that one time that some people don't read what they get, so maybe that will happen. We read out here and we do research. One thing, thank you, Mr. Romeo. Honorable Romeo, get your office. So we got time for the work. Thank you very much. Your office. Yes, thank you. And we do the work. We're doing the work. Huh? Thank you very much. We're getting it. The rate of pay was convenient. So no worry that. Because some people wanted $6,000 before, they didn't get $6,000. So I'm going to go there. Because some people wanted $6,000 separately. Okay, so let's not raise. No, let answer let lie low. Don't raise any answers, because it might be so nice for people. But, Madam Speaker, let me get back. The Premier's office. The Premier wants a program management office, I spoke to that. The Premier wants a CEO. I'm still trying to figure out the role of the CEO. Because the establishment handbook does not speak to a CEO. It speaks to a permanent secretary who is the accounting officer in departments. Gentlemen, am I correct? Answer me. The manual for public service speaks to, and the Honorable Lois, who was a Labour President of the Union, and myself know that there's no provision in the public service record for a CEO. So the question is, Madam Speaker, what will be the function of the CEO in the Premier's office? And who will that person account or answer to? Will that person be above the permanent secretary? Because the law makes provision for the permanent secretaries to be accounting officers. So then, please tell us exactly what will be the function of that person, that CEO, and who will that person answer to? Will the permanent secretary have any control over that? Not control is not the right word. Will that person be responsible to the permanent secretary or directly to the politician? Because I warn you all, politicians can't spend money. Politicians cannot spend money, and I'll come to that later. The only person who is appointed by the Ministry of Finance to spend money is the accounting officers, and they are listed. So any politician who wants to spend money, you cannot spend government money. You can't spend taxpayers' money. I'm giving you all the notice. And I heard somebody referencing the pack yesterday. I don't want to go on the road. Don't call the pack name in here because the pack is separate. The pack answer to Parliament when it's due, when its time is right, but not otherwise. Don't do that. No, we're not bringing that before the Parliament right now. When we reach here, we'll reach here. So please don't do that next time. Keep the pack business until we report to Parliament. Madam Speaker, page 13 of the Premier's statement. This Premier lists as an achievement these SRNOs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 SRNOs. And I think the people of Montreal welcome them in a time of economic dearth, in a time when things are hard, and in times when there was instability in the electricity supply, Madam Speaker, where a number of persons lost white goods because of the fluctuation in the electricity supply. It was important that the minister offered them some relief. And thank you for offering the people this relief that they can purchase, they can buy back their fridge, their stove, because they were damaged by. Well, you see, it's good to give incentives and concession. But you have to have money to buy them. And so if people lose their fridge or the stove or whatever it is, and they're not working, they can't take up the concession. Concession is not something people want to take and carry home. So again, it comes back to the economy and creating jobs. Madam Speaker, I welcome the SRNO to talk about the disaster. It's absolutely critical. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Because people must be prepared. Because if people are not prepared to face disaster, face hurricane, it's going to be more costly to government. So yes, the concession on the window, on the buying, what do you call them? Shutters and such things, generators and such things, that's very good. So that's an achievement. Give yourself a hand for that. That's fine. And let me say to you from this side, when you do something good, we go commend, you know. But our job is to keep you going so that people can get jobs and get money in their pocket. I had one problem with one concession. And I mentioned it the last time, 45. Order 45 of 2017. It has to do with the Corkhill. Exemption for people who want to build in Corkhill. In principle, it sounds good. In practice, it might be considered a joke. And why I say that? Zone C is still, am I correct? Protected. No entry or nighttime entry. It's daytime entry, right? Daytime entry. Zone C is still daytime entry. And some of the areas that we are talking about is in Zone C. So let's be reasonable. I'm not going to spend $100,000 to fix my house if I can't live in there. Right through. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to spend money to fix up my yard if I can't live in my house. So the intent is good, but in practice, it's difficult. I know one or two people, because I've seen 1 or 2 houses that have been done, but they're not living in them. And if you know that if you repair a house or you build a house and you keep it locked up, it's going to deteriorate. Termites going to take your cupboards, you know, what kind of thing will happen. So yes, I like the intent, but maybe you need to consider something else, because I don't think you alone have control over whether Zone C is taken out and now used as full-time, full daytime, nighttime occupancy. So in that case, I don't know what the plans were, and I'm certain that the take-up on that is very low, because people are thinking the way I'm thinking, that why should I fix up my house in Corkhill, Wakes, Delphins, Foxes Bay, and I can't live in it, still don't pay rent, or whatever. So that's, you may have to look at that again and try and work it in a different way so that people can benefit from that one. The furnishing, I speak to that one already. The return demonstration, I know there's an exemption order for them already, but this one, we just need clarity. I wasn't quite sure I was supposed to ask. For the people who want to return to build a house, they must return and live like the other order, or they just build and they can go back and come back. The returning demonstration, the returning demonstration, SRNO number 29 of 2017. They get exemption for building material and things. I know they have another SRNO to bring their personal things in. But does this SRNO say that they must come and build and stay, or come and build and they could go and come? Because if they can build and go and come, they might invest the money. But if they're returning, and they must be here in terms of the sense of returning, then we may have a problem with that. But that could be worked out. But at least these SRNOs, I think, were beneficial to some people, and I commend you for that. And let me go back a little bit, Madam Speaker, to the port. And I say what I say in good faith, because sometimes we're very thin-skinned. I'm not talking about you, Mr. Minister, I just the us. Madam Speaker, all of us want a breakwater. All of us. We see what happened when the ferry is coming in and have to go back. We see what happened when cargo ship come in here and turn back. We see what happened when the cruise ship comes in and can't land anybody. We know that. And so, let it be known that this House and the House have no difficulty with the breakwater. What we have difficulty with is the location, and whether in fact that was the only option that the government had, and whether in fact the government tried to build a breakwater because of financial constraints, whether you build it because of the amount of money you have. Because I am very skeptical for us just to build something to leave a legacy, because sometimes the legacy will harm generations to come. And I make reference, and I mean no disrespect, Madam Speaker, to J. Osborne Airport. In a haste to get an airport, we build something which can take a trillion. Can, because we know that Winner used it very efficiently and effectively. But presently we don't have. But let us not make the same mistake. And we would want to know very early, we want to see what we're getting, what we're building. Because government come, government go. Generations come, generations go. But do not, for heaven's sake, tie us into something that will not be able to expand the monetary economy in years to come. And that is why I talk about the location. Because I've seen, last year I saw a little thing. In confidence I saw a little thing. And I saw another little thing someplace else. And I see one on this I see something here. I know it's not the real thing. And I see something on this as well. No, it's not the real thing. Yeah, the port on this here. Break water on this. Okay, I just tell you. Break water on this. I know it's not the real thing. But we are concerned. And we have other concerns. Not the breakwater, just the location. And the implications for little bit developments. Because it sounds as though that is dead. Because I asked the Premier a few months ago about the future of the Little Bay plan, master plan. And if my memory serves me right, he said that the plan is still there, but plans can change, blah, blah, blah. But yesterday, I got a hint that that plan might be thrown out through the window. But I'm not sure. And the Premier didn't say it, so I can't say that is the case. But the implication of the breakwater and everything else on Little Bay development, because Little Bay development was taunted as the springboard for monetary economy. And if that is no longer there, then we need to know what is the alternative. The breakwater in itself can't do that. It will help, but can't do that. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I have some concerns. When we saw we do a research, so no worries. I don't give you the information where you find them. We do a research, Madam Speaker, and the tender for it's common knowledge because CCB is transparent. CDB is transparent, so they put their things on the website. I have some concern, and this is, Mr. Minister, Honourable Minister, and you'll correct us because we're talking based on our limited interpretation of what we see. CDB is responsible, the contractor is responsible for the environmental impact assessment. Is that the same person who's going to design build? The same person who's going to do the human survey, whatever it means, the gender issue, gender survey? I'm assuming that it's not the same person or the same company who's going to hire somebody. The same person who's going to design and build is not the same person who's going to hire somebody to the EIA, because obviously there's going to be conflict. there could be conflict. You have to have an independent person, independent group, who's doing the EIA, that's Environmental Impact Assessment, so that whatever comes up, no, you can answer me.
Oh, you know.
No, I didn't mean the man speaker.
No.
Sorry, I didn't mean that. I didn't talk for you. You will answer. You told you when I'm finished. Madam Speaker, I have some concerns. Sorry. I'm asking questions, please, Madam Speaker. I'm not seeking a conversation or which one. I'm just saying that we need to answer, and that's something that you all need to in your rebuttal. And please, that's what rebuttal is all about. Just answer any clear any doubts we have. Don't argue. Just clear the doubts that we have, and that's what we ought to hear. Whether in fact it's the same company who's going to design build, is going to carry out the environmental impact assessment, because that for me can create some level of conflict, because they may say what they want to hear. If it's an independent body, and they do have those bodies doing the EIA, then at least government will be comfortable that the findings of the EIA were not compromised in any way by the people, that the findings of the EIA findings would not be compromised in any way by the designers, contractors, whatever it is. Just a matter of concern and observation, which needs to be clarified, and need to be worked on. Because CDB may not do it. They may have asked for different people, but I don't know. The contract as it is does sound as though it's the same company who you select, but I might be wrong. So we just need some clarity on that. I have a little problem with the figures. When the Honorable Premier said that you got some money from under EDF 11, we ran from we talked about the port and the 14.4 million pounds, and which are about 50-something US EC dollars. But you continue to talk, and I wasn't sure whether the port was going to cost 80 million, and that you were going to use some of the EDF funds for that. I wasn't sure. It was kind of convoluted because you ran into it. You know? It wasn't separated. So I wasn't sure whether you were talking about two different sums or whether you were saying the 50 million, which was the 14.4, plus some other money would give enough to cover the construction or the breakwater. We need some clarity on that because it sounded as though it was a little jumbled then. I wasn't sure what I saw. Okay, Madam Speaker. Housing. Page 23. Madam Speaker, for years I've been hearing that there is this great need for housing in Montserrat. There's a need for people to own their own home. That's a fact. But is there a homelessness situation? I'm not saying there's not, and I'm saying there is. I just want to know. Madam Speaker, sometimes I get a little emotional on some topics, especially if I was in any way associated with those topics or those issues. Housing, Madam Speaker, was a big issue in the parliamentary cycle of 2009, 2014. Big issue. Every other month we get questions about housing and how much people on the housing list. And they go to housing and find out that people who in England and Salem and people in Antigua want house down here. And they come and say 341 people on the waiting list. Some people in England, some live in Australia, some live everywhere, but they're still on the housing list. Of course, people intent. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they are here. But I got licks. And if he didn't give the assent to build a house, I must applaud myself. Madam Speaker, we were able to build houses. I'm not saying for Diffie to hear me, because I want to give you out some money. We were able to build houses, Madam Speaker, without assent. And that was the exact word from a certain gentleman, a certain member of this house. We did not get assent from Diffie, but we were able to build all the houses that the Honorable Willox in Lookout. All the houses that were in Davy Hill. All the houses that were in Drummonds. Some people call it substandard, but it's fine. Some people call them that kind of thing, but we build houses. Now, Madam Speaker, we are struggling, absolutely struggling, to build a couple of houses. And I don't like to talk people behind the back, so I'm not going to raise an issue about the former minister. I'm not going to do that. I'm not here. When he's in the house, I will talk. Right now, I will respect his absence and don't talk to him. But I'm not going to lick too much. I have something. Madam Speaker, 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, there was $32 million in the housing vote. 2 million, 2 million in one, and 1.3 million in another. 1.3 in another. And they were designed for bail apartments in David Hill. Last year, the ministry distributed 2 million to people. That's fine. People need help because they're not working. That's fine. And this year, we moved, this year, or late last year, we moved the 1.3 million, which was assigned to David Hill, and put it into housing. And that, again, I think is distributed for people to finish their house and so on. That's not the issue. We had $3-something million on the housing for the past 3 years to build some vulnerable houses. And I understand that, I don't know who controls the money. And it was on the books for about 3 years, Madam Speaker, to build some houses that were torn down by the administration in David Hill and Shinland. The very first act that was carried out by this administration was to take down some houses in David Hill and Shinland that they called deplorable, and they were going to build them back. If money is on the books for 3 years, what took the government so long to build back those houses? The houses took about 3 years, and I now understand that they're building 4 out of the $2-something million. Stand corrected. And that, I must compliment the minister, President Minister, for being able to implement that project and start building houses in David Hill. The question I want to ask, though, was the other minister being sabotaged by anybody? Why that money was not released early on? Why was that money not released to the other minister since 2 years ago that those houses would have been built? Is there an intent to sabotage the other minister? Or was it because the other minister had ambition or intention? So nobody wanted him to look good. So that money was not here. Because all of a sudden, in quick time, that money has been spent. No, I'm not joking. Serious. Yes, serious. And I will point to you. No, seriously. Was it intended to embarrass the other minister, the dead minister, to prevent him from succeeding? Or because he had political leadership ambition? Was that the reason? I'm just asking. Because I compliment you, Minister. But me here, the money can only build 4 houses or the 6 or the 7. Because of the over-designing of those houses. And if you over-design, mark you, the contractors get more money when you design it. I don't mind the contractor getting money. Contractors getting money. But what you are doing, what we are doing, is to put housing out of the reach of the ordinary man. When you start building a house for $440,000, one house, 2-bedroom house, you're putting housing, ownership of house, out of the reach of the ordinary man. So you talk about getting houses, you will get $50 million from DFID for building more houses than Montserrat. Because the minute you carry the house, the cost of construction that high. Construction will say, well, this is what a 2-bedroom cost in Montserrat. And the ordinary man will not be able to own a house. A 2-bedroom house was costing us between $250,000 and $275,000 to build. Now I understand. Contractors do well. I like any money. That's fine. But is it because of I don't know, what is the rationale? What has happened? What has changed? What is in the building code? Is it the building code that's changed these things? What? Why a 2-bedroom house in Montserrat is now costing $440,000, Madam Speaker? So you understand what it means for somebody who working in the bank, somebody who working in a store, somebody who working even the public works. You understand what I mean for them? in terms of ownership, home ownership? How can we sit down and allow anybody to come in this place here and give us a structure that will cost that money? That will be the trend from now on. And ordinary demonstrations will not be able to build a house. So we're talking about home ownership. We're killing there right away. Right away killing there. And that is why, Madam Speaker, I started off by saying sometimes we have to say no to some people. Sometimes we have to tell some people, take what you have and go with it, if the conditions are going to be to the disadvantage of our peoples. I mentioned a little earlier on about the lookout forced in houses. And the Honourable Minister assured us that he's going to do something. But I haven't seen anything in the budget. And I talk on what I've seen here. Unless you're going to use EU funds for that. I'm going to talk about EU funds later, you know. It's important to talk about that. Unless you get some EU funds, and that's still, out of that port, out of that EU money, plenty going to go to the port, so then I don't know how much you're going to get. But unless you get the money, there's nothing in the budget that speaks to home construction, except what I'll talk to you later. So when you carry the cost of living, the cost of construction so high, and people have to go to the bank and borrow a little money, $250,000 can't build one two-bedroom house no more. Can't build it, because house is now being built for $440,000. The minute you set that example, the minute you put that in place, poor people dead. Poor people dead. Only politicians could build houses after that. Nobody else. So you better build yours now, or you better build your own now. So, because the contract they got killed. You see, in that only the poor people, the contract don't charge the money. And you want to go double, because you're a politician. I get paid. You go double. So please. That's enough, yeah? Madam Speaker, and I boast, and I will continue to boast, Madam Speaker. I was the Minister of Agriculture and Housing at one time. And Madam Speaker, I looked in the budget statements, and there are some credits that the government taking. Take them here, it's all right, no problem, because government is continuous. But show me, I'm not talking to the new minister, show me what new initiative your government has taken so that people can own their own home in Montserrat. Explain to me the new initiative. New, that's the underlying word. The new initiative, because service lots was there before. Low income 3% house was there before. 5% house was there before. That were built at 3%, that were built at 5%, they were all there. $40,000 grant, that was there, but there was no money for it, so we understand that. But most of the incentive or the achievements that you talk about in your budget statement, they're not new. They have in existence since 2006, thereabouts, 2007. And I continue them right through. Right through. As a matter of fact, our administration is not giving any credit for the fact that we instituted or we negotiated a 5% market interest rate for construction in Montserrat. We, and I speak loud that the banks could hear me, we negotiated that, 5%. And Bank of Montserrat started by giving 5.5% on all the houses that we built in Lookout. Now what the bank say, you have board members and them, and you negotiate with the bank. The bank is liquid. I'm not talking about the levy cost. I call it talk about it, but we're going to talk about it more. But the banks are liquid. But liquidity doesn't mean that the bank will take extra risk. Liquidity means that if people have money, people working, and they have jobs, they will come in and talk to the bank, and they will lend. But the 5.5% when it started, 2010, 5.5%. And all the banks now gone down, 4%. Will society is 4%? Bank of Montreal is 5.5. Credit, RBC is about 4, 5 point something. So all is gone down. So it's good. People could build if they have money to build because the interest rate is good. Imagine you pay 10%, 11% on mortgage, and you're paying 5. So young people, if they're working, they could get money. Not just the $1,000 they get in. They want a job. They carry home something good and start taking some money from the bank so they could build something. That's what the opposition is saying to you this afternoon. They want money. They want a job. They can go out and work and earn. They're not looking for handouts. Young people don't necessarily want handouts. They want something to call their own. And I want to see a strong economy. I want to see projects being implemented. I want to see jobs being created. So that young people can walk into a bank with a job letter and say, I am working for this and I need a mortgage for this. I hear the minister talk about land. The government doesn't have much land in North. Government does not have much land in North. So if you're going to buy land, somebody says it's fine. I hear they have land in Tachubali and Sobosel. I hear that. And I hear the minister was offered to buy some kind of land somewhere. Now we don't know someplace. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's true. But whatever it is. But I'm simply saying, just joke. I'm just simply saying that, Honorable Madam Speaker, is that if they're talking about people first, they have to show people that they mean that they're first. And you have to come up with new initiatives, not what you meant before. Think outside the box. What can you do to encourage home ownership? This dependency syndrome is what we tried to get rid of. 2010, 2014, we almost got rid of this dependency, Madam Speaker, because people became independent and important. People thought it was good for them to walk into a bank and say, can I have a mortgage? People were proud that they own a house. They turned the key. That is the ambition that most should have, and we should not allow anybody, outside or inside, to be private of that. And I'm sure the members on the other side would agree with me. That's what people want. Not handouts. They only come for handouts when they can do better. So one of my minister, the houses, I would love to see start building some house. I hear you get some money. I hear you can borrow some money for building some house somewhere else. But yeah, all right. Ask me how many of that, let me know. Here you go build some house. And I hear it somewhere, but yeah, all right. We will know. We'll see when it is done. Let me put it that way. Madam Speaker, I move on to my pet subject. You know what it is? What it is? My pet subject. Madam Speaker, sorry. Madam Speaker, I boast that I'm an agriculturist by profession. I boast. And I love the subject. I love the area. I'll do anything for the area. If you call me, come in. The Honourable Minister gave me an invitation, and I'm going to take up on it. Because it's not for me, it's for Montreal. And in a sense, me dive my knowledge, and then people have it. So I don't, not that kind of people. So she made an offer, and I will talk to her about it. I don't mind. Young people need help, that's fine. Madam Speaker, this is an era in which traditional farming is not going to succeed. By that I mean, Madam Speaker, going out in the field in open sun and working for 3-4 hours is not going to bring us self-sufficiency in what we need. There is need for a transformation of the agricultural sector from traditional farming to modern technology. Let the senior citizens continue to do their thing. But let us be innovative. And I know CDB has started the process, and I felt good when I saw those 2 greenhouses at MSS. That is the beginning of a process, the transformation that we're looking for in the agricultural sector. Because too often, and I say it when my leader was premier, and I say it again, too often we give lip service to the agricultural sector, lip service. And when you look at the budget figures, you contribute less than 5% of the budget to agriculture. And I know there are some people who want to shut down agriculture in this country because they tried it already. If you're not careful, Honourable Minister, if you're not careful, there are some people who will tell you it's cheaper to bring in food than to grow it. They will tell you that. People, not our people, but yeah, right. I'll tell you who in private. But we have to transform the agricultural sector. And we have to begin to link agriculture production with ICT technology. We have to. A young man is not going to go in the field and sit down for 3 or 4 hours in the sun. A young man will sit in the office in front of the computer and do a program for irrigation and fertigation in the greenhouse. That is the level that we have to rise to. And if you want advice, talk to me, and I have other people who talk to. It's not me, it's not about me, it's about Montserrat. And I know Dr. Sami has some keen interest in that as well. Obviously, I'm thinking ahead, Think of nothing, we have a plan. We have to think ahead. The initial cost, capital is high. But you're the Minister of Finance. And if you have to sacrifice, if the Minister of Comes and Works has to sacrifice something, not a bridge, something, then he has to sacrifice it for you. Not a bridge. A Casby, can need a bridge. But no, that's how government works. Ministers have to make sacrifices in order for the good of one of another. And so, Madam Speaker, there is the need for us to revolutionize this sector. And I would strongly suggest to the Minister of Education that we start looking at linking the ICT and the greenhouses together at the school. That you can start teaching those students that they can link both. And not only link there, when they leave school, provide some seed capital to provide at least 1 or 2 small greenhouses for each person. 3 or 4 of them. 3 or 4 students. That is the base. That is the base that we need in this country, Madam Speaker. When an agriculture student leaves school, he wants to do farming, give him 2 greenhouses, not a big size, and a computer, and a little shed. And expose him to the training, how to develop a package for again. We have people in the Ministry of Agriculture who can help. And you set the ball rolling. Why? Why am I saying all that? 1 shower rain this week, 3 weeks dry. You cannot produce effectively on the outside. You have to have sheltered production. Well, let's do agriculture now, boy. So you have to make the sacrifice. Don't just talk about agriculture. Make sure they give back the cut where they cut from your budget, where they cut your budget. Make sure they give you back. I don't believe that, but yeah. Sorry, Madam Speaker, to cross the floor. But, sorry, Madam Speaker, we don't intend to do that. Sorry. I'm just saying they cut his budget. How are you going to talk about agriculture and cut agriculture budget? What, 0.5, half a million? Thereabouts. And you're talking about agriculture? You serious? You should be investing. Because you see, the thing about agriculture, Madam Speaker, is that you're not able to measure its output in 1 year. You can measure a project given to public work, Comes and Works. You can measure 2 miles of road, because it's there. 3 miles of road, it's there. You can measure a building that went up, but you cannot measure the contribution of agriculture in a day or a year. But when you measure the contribution in terms of health, because when you talk about your NCDs, if you're not eating properly, you're going to be obese, you're going to have diabetes. So you have to start linking your agriculture sector with the health sector so that we can move forward. That is the kind of linkages that we want to talk about. And that is what we want to help the government to do. But they think we're stupid too. They're talking to us. Because I don't need any pay for that. It's a consultancy job, yes. And maybe I should ask for consultancy job for that one day. Because come inside here. Consult, Madam Speaker.
I remember the government side complaining yesterday about interruptions.
No, seriously though, on a serious note, let me get back very quickly. The point is, what I'm making here, is that you don't have to bring a consultant from nowhere to tell you that. But they will do that. Because the government like consultants. But you have experts here on the island who can help you to develop an agriculture package for the school and for your community. So please, for heaven's sake, use what we have. Or else. Okay, Madam Speaker. Production has dropped. And I'm not sure the minister knows that. Production has dropped. And I do a comparison between now and 2010 up to 2014. There's a certain gentleman who came to Montserrat in 2012. And he sat 2010. He sat with me and he said, I drive from Salem to North and I can't find anything fresh to eat. Said to me. 2013, he said to me, when I leave Salem, I don't have to go nowhere else. Because from Salem to St. John's, I'm meeting things on the road to buy. Why? The same revolutionary idea I talk about. Because I was a practical agriculturist as well, as a theory. We introduced some mini greenhouses, Madam Speaker, and I see them around knocking dog right now. Some hoop houses, what we call hoop houses. We get to backyard owners, backyard people, to grow spinach, lettuce, cucumber, whatever it is. So every household, because we were linking health with agriculture, because we wanted to reduce these incidents that we spoke about, the NCDs, and to help people to live healthy. And we were linking it. And there were a number of hoop houses around the island. Yes, the covering was biodegradable, so we probably wanted something a little more durable. But that was it, and we boosted agricultural production, and farmers were willing to move. We banned bananas, and I get stick for it. There was a problem in Dominica, there was a problem in the country, and they didn't notify us as ministry, and we banned agricultural production and planting, and we brought in some suckers. Now, Madam Speaker, we are self-sufficient. I hear them boasting about self-sufficiency in planting and bananas, but we did it. The supermarkets nearly cut me short for that, but we did it. Because that is what leadership is all about. Making decisions irrespective to who first, for the benefit of your people. Madam Speaker, we need to raise the production again. It's down. And some of you farmers are not doing well. Some of them are getting down. So we need to begin to introduce young farmers into the system, into the sector, but not that kind of agriculture. I want to see it. I want to see it. Take it off the book, take it off the paper, and put it on the ground, and I feel good. We're self-sufficient in eggs for the past 12 years, 10 years. We don't bring in eggs except Christmas. And nonetheless, in agriculture, Christmas time, the birds molt. The egg production drop because days are shorter. So we bring in eggs in Christmas. Apart from that, we got eggs. That's why we have a surplus. And what we probably need, the farmers need, is a chill. Not only for eggs, but for agricultural produce. Because we have a glut, and then we have. So when you have chilling facility, the government needs to invest in a chilling facility. Farmers need to pay the bills to storage. That is it. And allow them to be able to harvest the crop and store them. Because when they get food from the states away, 6 months ago they harvest them and had them in stores. Talk to Speaker. That's what we need to do. I'll come to that. So, Madam Speaker, we need a chilling facility. And we need the merchants, local merchants, to support the agricultural sector. And I talk about you. I know you do that. I know you do that, Aaron. He does that. To support the agriculture, I know, because farmers go and sell things. I know that. Some merchants do not support the local farming community. And the way we used to control that, but it's all right. Once we start producing, Dr. Sam, we buy everything we produce. Consistently. At the right price. Let me put that way. Because that's the problem farmers do. The price sometimes deter merchants from buying, but that's not the excuse. Some of them, they make more profit than imported. Some of them make more profit than imported stuff than others. But that's not the case with Dr. Sabi. All right. Don't feel bad. You're talking. But I'm being open. I'm being open, and I have a passion. I have a passion for the sector. So that's me. That's me. Mining. Mining seems to be doing page 10. Okay, page 10. Let's pick the mining. There seems to be a lot of activity around here on mining. But I noticed that there's the royalties, and I want to explanation on the royalty again. How much you get as royalty? Because the royalty seems to be pretty low in the estimates. The royalty seems to be, based on the activity that we're saying, an increase in the activity. It seems as though the royalty is a bit low. I don't know whether it's generally low or whether you have arrears outstanding, because I know that the FS collected some arrears on royalties, I think this year or last year. They collected some, Ministry of Finance collected some revenue, some outstanding royalties. So maybe they have some more money outside, but it's a bit low when I look at the budget. But I'm happy that the guys are sending this time. We have everything coming, these guys. Can't be all bad. The volcano can't be all bad. We suffered, but at least we have a product that we can sell, and I'm sure we should maximize the sale of it. I'm not sure we're doing that effectively, because there's much more that we could use, that we could do, but I'm not sure. If only the guys could come together and settle themselves, but it's so difficult to get people to come together and organize themselves as a group and export. It's very difficult, but maybe you want to try and see if that could happen. I don't know. We are, by nature, we are selfish as individuals. So, Honorable Madam Speaker, in the presentation yesterday, the Honorable Minister said that he was going to forgive me if I quote you wrong. We're going to move the nurse from where it is, at the braids. We're going to establish a green market there, farmers market. Is it on a regular basis? Because, you see, this country must stop, we have to stop doing things over and over and over again. Exactly what happened when this administration came in with all the changes. Is that what happened to the market? Against public wishes, the market was built in Little Bay. Because during the consultation process, it was said that the market should be built up top, someplace up there, not right there. But we went against it and we built the market on Little Bay. You cannot now go and move the market and place something else. Because you see, you have to move the market, and the reason why you have to move the market, Madam Speaker, is because Little Bay is not developing. Because the market was to be developed, and more activities would have taken place had we been working on the built-out of Little Bay. But in the absence of that built-out, obviously, Madam Speaker, even the small business market really not making the money, because who's coming down here? You have to be able, we were supposed to have activities around the market so that people would come to market. Now, if the minister is going to move it, what are you going to do in the market? Maybe they have a plan before it. They have a plan before it, because, but not only that, the market also includes a butcher stall and a fishing stall. So are you going to take those up there as well, Madam Speaker? The implication has to be considered. Just to wake up and say that they're going to do something is not enough, because there's a butcher stall in the market down here. There's some fishing stalls in the market as well. And we spent money, they spent money. I think this government, as a matter of this government, spent money. This same government spent money. This administration spent money to build lockers in the market and doors. The same administration. So are you going to undo that again? What we probably need to do is to create some incentive for people to come to the market. Because it's difficult. People come to the market if they know things are there. But they have to pay a bus to come inside here. We have to decide how we're going to utilize the structure we have without making it redundant, because money was spent on it. So the idea might sound good on paper about a farmer's market up there, but I don't know. But I would suggest you do some consultation before he actually decided on that. My colleague spoke on fiber optics, so I'm not going to touch that again. Solar energy, that's his export. He's exporting, so he's talking on that already. Tourism. We boast about the contribution of tourism to the economy. And quite rightly so, Madam Speaker, in the last, the fruits of the embassy came to fruition when some tourist ship began to call in here. And we can say what we like about the embassy. We're now seeing the work, the fruits of their labor. But unfortunately, we shut it down. We call foul. Nothing is perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. But we have to go in and do corrective measures. We are human. And that's what the word corrective means. If you see something not going right, you fix it. But instead, we lock them down. Anyhow, tourism is building because cruise ships are coming. And I hope to see some more. But again, and that's why I'm so happy that the breakwater is being built, but not at Cass Bay, not at Little Bay. Because we don't want a cruise ship to come in here and turn and go back out. Because whenever cruise ship comes in here and return, taxi men lose money, the bars lose money, the food payers lose money, the tour operators lose money. So yes, but tourism in fact are growing. But I'm not sure there was a venture that the Honorable Minister wanted to do last in Antigua, the billboards. And we want to know, how is that working? I don't know how that's working. The billboards are around Antigua. I don't know if they're around Antigua. And the transferring of cruise ship passengers from Antigua to Montserrat. You see, these things sound good on paper, but in reality, they're not as easy as we think they are. But the tourism sector is doing well. And I want to compliment the staff in the tourism division for their hard work. Madam Speaker, their hard work. But what is preventing the government from appointing a director of tourism? It's one thing to have staff members working, and they know what they're doing. But in order to do your strategic planning, you need to have a director of tourism. What is preventing the government from doing that? As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure if there's a legislation that governs tourism right now. Because tourism was subsumed under the embassy, as a function of the embassy. And the minute you close down the embassy, and you move back tourism to somebody else, Premier's office, and that was the real reason why they moved in the first place. I'm not even sure because I don't recall seeing a legislation coming to his house on tourism. I don't recall, maybe. I'm not sure. Because I think that legislation was repealed and it was placed on that. So how are we operating? So there's no director of tourism, there might be no legislation that governs tourism, so then the government needs to take stock of itself. And please, do not put it back in the Premier office. It never worked there before, it's not going to work again. Tourism has to be able to go out there on their own and do their thing to attract people to Montserrat. You cannot have nobody holding down with a small amount of money. There were $230,000 in a tourism project. I don't know how to that money now. There was a director of tourism who had to leave abruptly. I don't know the case fix. You can't operate a tourism department without a director of tourism. It does not make sense. And don't tell me it is HR. Because HR, the ministers are in cabinet, the governor is in cabinet, the deputy governor is in cabinet. So you can't tell me nobody else, because they sit with you on Thursdays in Parliament, and you have to know what, in cabinet, and you have to know what you want, and push it. Push it. So I don't want nobody to come and tell me about HR, and I'll give them this, HR, and I'll give me PMO, HR, and I'll give me CEO, HR, and I'll give me that. It doesn't make sense. They sit in cabinet, the people in charge of HR sit, the governor sits in cabinet, and the deputy governor, and the minister sit in cabinet. So come on. If you want to strengthen, we have to strengthen the tourism sector, and we need to have somebody who's leading charge on it. But the activities, I'm not sure. I heard last year that we were going to get some more cruise ships coming in. I'm not sure if that has come to fruition, but I hope so. Because in the absence of real economic activities, I think the tourism sector is going to help us to a point. Because don't forget that they are more lucrative. While we have a nice, unique, tranquil country, the other countries that are opening up, that people, because I have this urge to go to Cuba when it opens up. And I'm sure other people want to go to Cuba too, not be alone, just to see. So the other markets are more attractive sometimes than us. But people come to Montserrat because they like uniqueness. So please go there and bring them in so that we together. But have the structure in place. Madam Speaker, I think I'm going to move on tourism. Yes. I will now move on to okay, we have plenty of time. I'll now move on, Madam Speaker, to health. Madam Speaker, my colleague spoke, Honorable Joseph spoke a little earlier about this hospital project and the moving, but I have to speak to it. Have to. Question is, where are we on the hospital project? What is the government's position after they receive the consultant report on the hospital? Having had some consultation, what is the government's position? The people of Montserrat need to hear from you. And I agree with my colleague. The hospital project is not a project for the Minister of Health. It's a project for the Honorable Premier, a project for the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, a project for the Honorable Minister of Commerce and Works, a project for the Honorable Parliamentary Secretary, Honorable Willock, and a project for the Honorable Claude Hogan. It's a government and a project for the opposition members. Because it's in our interests, all of our interests, that we have a facility that people, when they come here and they take sick, they don't have to worry about how they're going to look after. But you see what happened when people listen to people are ill-advised? I'm told that it's always easy to continue negotiation than to begin to renegotiate. It's easier to continue negotiation than to start to renegotiate. Because once you start renegotiating, new terms and conditions are brought into the mix. I say that to say, even if there was no plan for hospital when you came into office, which I knew that was fake news. You say it's fake news, but it wasn't fake news. They say it's fake news, but it wasn't fake news. You could have continued, but rather we became overzealous, overambitious, and decided we want a greenfield hospital. Greenfield. So we wanted to go to Licker Bay, wanted to go to Fogarty, wanted to go to Blake's, and now we're going nowhere. Strange thing though, I pass to the hospital quite frequently on my way to some places. And indeed, there is a greenfield hospital up St. John's. Because the building paint, all the building paint green except two. All them, except two. So we have a greenfield hospital. That's what we wanted. I only hope that they could paint the physiotherapy unit green, another building. We spend some money and we nice up the building, and it's good that we nice it up. But is that an indication, Madam Speaker, that we're not going to get a hospital in the near future? Because we nice up the other one, we change the windows, which is good. We paint up, we put on step. So, when are we going to get a hospital? That is one of the transformational projects. But surprisingly, Madam Speaker, the budget speaks very little, says very little to that project, or to the hospital, very little. We contracted a consulting firm. We told them what we wanted in our terms of reference. We agreed, differed, and the government of Montserrat and the consultant agreed on the terms of reference for that consultancy. The consultancy presented their report. The government, not government, let me correct myself. The Honourable Minister of Health and her team did some consultation island-wide. And I have never seen one other parliamentarian, one of the minister, one of the member of the government said that any one of those consultations, not one. They're hiding. Maybe because they know that it's not going to come through. They try to keep themselves away from it. Poor Minister of Health had to go out there herself and face the crowd. But they sell some ideas that I didn't agree with, because what the consultant brought back in was what we asked for. We asked them to produce a minimum package for health. We asked them for that. And they gave us that. They said we can only do this here, this is the minimum, and if you want anything else, you go to Antigua, you go somewhere to pay for it. That's what they're saying. They say, if you want anything outside the basic package, you pay for it. So I hear we making noise. That's what we asked them to do. We asked them about room, about number of beds. And the number of beds, of course, must be based on something. So it's based on throughput, how much people go to the hospital and how long they stay. Council did that. And they came up with 5 and 10 and 11 and finally ended up with 21. So is the government satisfied with the 21 or 22 beds? Are they accepting that? I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm just asking, because people want to hear that. Because, Madam Speaker, there are persons in the UK, in America, demonstrations in the UK, in America, who wants to come back home. But the first thing they say to you, in England, I am getting my medicals done on a regular basis. I need to be assured that certain basic packages are available to me in Montserrat so that I can come to Montserrat and spend 3 months or 6 months and then go back. In the absence of that, all this talk about diaspora, because diaspora are going to come home, unless there's a strong economy and plenty houses and plenty work, the diaspora who will come home are senior citizens, will be senior citizens, sad to say, and they have health problems, so they need to know that a hospital is available. Madam Speaker, that seemed to be in the distance. Review has been done yesterday. The Honourable Minister said that they have sent, they're seeking WHO's opinion on certain things before they move forward. Yes, I understand that WHO talks about safe hospital and that kind of thing there, so I guess that's basically what we tell you. The size of the hospital, WHO cannot tell you because there's a standard based on ratio and population size. There's a standard ratio per room. And so the consultants use the population size in Montserrat, compare with other countries, and arrive at the number of beds. So the consultant did not give us anything that we didn't ask for. It's for us to decide whether we're going to accept the report or reject it, what aspect we're going to accept or reject, and have a discussion with DFID to move the project forward. The next government wants to build a hospital. Whoever that government is, build a hospital. Cannot continue to start from scratch again. If we hadn't started from scratch, we might have been someplace further on. Maybe not completed, but maybe. Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate the minister. And sometimes I say we don't do it, but I do it quite often when it's necessary. She announced in her budget last year that there'll be tests for people with prostrate tests, men. And I think she kept her word. Well, it's part of another package, but at least. Men are now receiving treatment for prostrate in Montserrat because the visiting urologist has been coming to Montserrat quite regularly. He was here, I think, about a month ago. But the sad thing, Madam Speaker, and I'm speaking to all the men this afternoon, the sad thing, Madam Speaker, is that men refuse to take up the offer and do their tests, their PSA tests. Men, the standard thing is that men, once you reach 40, I think they lower it now. Men, once you reach 40, should at least do their PSA once a year. But us men, we are ashamed or afraid to go to the doctor to do our thing. It's a simple test, Madam Speaker. Next thing, it's easier to find out and diagnose some change in your prostate size than to wait until when it's gone too far to have to do surgery. It's a waste of time and a waste of money. When you can go into the doctor, it takes less than 5 minutes, you do your PSA, you come back out, doctor tell you, okay, your prostate is rising, the size is getting slightly bigger, blah, blah. Men, wherever you are, I want to talk to you that it's important, and parliamentarians, you as well, it's important that you do your PSA test, because if you don't do it, you're putting more burden, you're going to put more burden on the health system. When Dr. James, I think came a few weeks ago, he had about 20 patients up there, and no young man was in the commons. They were all people different age. We cannot afford as men to, the same way the ladies are doing their breast cancer and their cervical cancer tests. You need to do the same thing. You have to protect your family. You have your family to look after as well. And healthcare is your responsibility. So I'm very pleased that the Honourable Minister has offered that and treatment and medical and treatment that goes along with it, free of cost. because it is absolutely important. Black men especially, the rate of prostate cancer is getting higher and higher. It's a simple test. I boast, I do mine every year. I do my physical. I don't care who doctor the man or woman. I do my physical. I do ultrasound. And I do my blood work, my blood test. Simple. I have to do it. So I want to wait until when I go down and say you have prostate cancer. No. Tell me now, so I know I could start treating. And that's why I want to big up the minister for coming through. Margaret, the project was there, yes, but to add that Dr. Daly and his team, but at least she highlighted that last year and it's come to pass. Thank you very much, Madam Minister. I have not yet seen the tobacco bill. We were promised a tobacco bill last year, if I'm not mistaken. And I haven't seen it. Cost of cancer treatment is expensive. I know we have one oncologist, how do you call him? Oncologist? Out there, a nurse out there doing how to care for cancer patients, but that's only one. We need some more people to train. And I understand that the Honorable Premier of Antigua, Prime Minister of Antigua promised our Honorable Premier that he will give us some positions in the medical school. So I would want you to ask him, and they do oncology courses there. So if you can get somebody, another nurse, into that institution, it's important because all kinds of cancer are developing in country. You can't afford to pay for them. If you're getting a free scholarship, please let one of them be. Well, the health sector will decide, but please, I hope the minister will decide that those persons should go. Prostate cancer, breast cancer, liver cancer, all kinds of cancer come in their own place. And we don't have any facility. So they head to England to get chemo. And somebody don't come back. Just last week, so I shouldn't say that, that's privilege. People have to go to England and all about just to get treatment. And we don't have it here. And it's costly. So I'm glad. But the tobacco bill, I was branching out because tobacco is one of the tributaries to cancer. And I would want to see the tobacco bill where you are smoking is prohibited in some places, can't smoke in some places, this is smoke-free, that kind of thing, you need to have that. And I noticed that in England, and I saw the minister here, I'm going to talk about it. They recently introduced a sugar bill. Sugar bill. Because obesity and diabetes are two of our major NDCs. And all these children who have type 2 diabetes at 14 and 13 years old can't accept that. So what are we doing? Our schools, are there sugar-free schools? I notice that people selling sweets all about the whole compounds. What are we doing? It's a livelihood, yes, but then find something more healthy. Make some healthy snacks and bring and sell at the schools. We have our schools and people selling sweets and something there. We need to start taking care of our kids in order so we can reduce our health bill down the road. If we don't take care now, the health bill is going to be higher down the road. Now is the time. So this sugar bill, I was doing some research and I saw it. I said, fine, this is something we need to do. Why we have to buy busters? I don't care who lecture me this afternoon. Why we have to buy buster? We have tamarind, we have guava, we have gooseberry, we have blueberry, all these. Give an incentive, Honorable Minister, Madam Speaker, Honorable Minister of Agriculture. Give some incentive for people to develop these products into commercial quantities and use them in the schools. You talk about the quality control in Barbados. What's the name again? What's quality control in Barbados? Anyhow, never mind. Costco. Let them work with us so we can have standards for these products. And rather than buying busters and selling busters that around the school premises, let somebody go with a cooler, having done the standard test, and sell fresh gooseberry drink, fresh golden apple drink. That is what we need. Not the busters and the low sweets and so that we're selling around space here. I don't care about the CARICOM and the protective CARICOM, whatever it is. They have money to look after the patients. We have no money. So when we buy the buster and we protect sick, we have to look after them. So I don't care about no trade barrier thing when it comes to soft drinks and that kind of thing there. If that's the case, ban them. That's the case. Leadership is about taking decisions irrespective to who he hurt sometimes. Not the poor people. Madam Speaker, the opposition is important in democracy. Absolutely important. To bash sometimes and to praise sometimes. Madam Speaker, I learned that there was a X-ray machine sitting at the hospital compound for nearly a year plus, over a year. Sitting. Top of the class, digital. Nowadays, no hospital nowadays carrying a film around the place. You go and you do the X-ray and they send it to the doctor wherever the doctor is, via the computer. That's how they operate. Under the same $1 million that green up the hospital, they buy a new brand digital X-ray machine and have it in a room sitting down for over a year. And because the opposition asked the question, and we were told that he needed nice room and so, ventilation room. Yeah. But I'm very pleased that I walked through the hospital compound about 3 weeks ago. And I see a nice little building going up attached to the X-ray room and outside. And I said, but what is that? And they say, it's for the new X-ray machine. Thank God the opposition asked the questions and we get results. The money under the small asset project was this last year only. I understand the money came from the small asset project. Right? That was it, small asset project? What is it? Small capital asset? Whatever it is. Huh? Small capital project, yeah, asset project. Small, yeah. And the money was there. But finally, so if we have to push you and dig, we will do that sometime to get what we want done. Finally, the room is being, yesterday it was being plastered, the ventilation room. I'm keeping track. So I tell you, when I ask questions in his house, I know the answer already. I ask the public to know that I know the answer. The room is being built, and hopefully, not long from now, we'll have installed a new brand digital X-ray machine. I was thanking the government for that still, but it's long overdue. We're renting machine from Antigua and all about, and the operator take a finger, press it in, some forget in our risk up there, man, high risk. Sometimes some stick and they have push their finger in and forget done, get it work. I know all that. No, you all don't know. Yeah, right. But that is the case. But when the opposition speaks, sometimes we speak, and we're glad when we speak and the government acts. That is fine. That is fine. Okay, one last thing on health. Health. The sanctuary city, my colleague spoke to it. I took a note on it as well. So page 19, I'm glad that you are talking about it. Myself and the minister had some discussion about 2 years ago. She said she had a house rented, someplace. But I'm hoping that we will build some permanent sanctuary house, or transition house, we call it, for children and people who are suffering domestic violence, because it's difficult when someone is suffering or experiencing domestic violence and can't leave home because they have no place to go. Difficult. And sometimes us men, some women too, Madam Speaker, but us men think that we have control over people. Some women too, but anyhow, more the men. More the men. Yeah, I was trying to with this one here. More the men. We tend to want to have control over people because we are maintaining them. Because we are providing the rent or the accommodation. That's not the case. We are all equal. God made us. I used to this thing about manage the household. Man, you can vex me down here. Nothing go so. Nothing go so. Forgive me, Sister Clark. The Bible. I don't interpret. I don't interpret what Paul is saying, because no. Seriously, we have to understand. And if I want to preach a sermon, let's understand it. We have to understand the culture in which the Bible was written. We have to understand it. I'm not saying we must take the culture, but I read the Bible sometimes in the culture in which it was set. It was in a culture where women had no say. Women had to sit at the back of the temple. That was the culture. So I don't believe, yes, some people say the woman the Bible say, but I believe I have to live the Bible. And I live the Bible. So this thing about man in charge of the household. Yes, you have to find, yeah, you must support the children and your wife. Yeah, you have a job to go work. I stay home and I work. But you have equal rights in the household. And so, when a man tells me that he's going to withhold, and that's why Dr. Sammy is pushing, and Speaker, and others are pushing, we're pushing domestic violence bill once he comes into place. You're responsible for your family. The wife, the husband must look after the wife, or the man must look after the boyfriend, the girlfriend. Well, that's clip. I noticed yesterday on a Facebook page they were talking about in the UK they had this marriage thing and that in one year. But they must look after people, Madam Speaker. We must not think that because we have a little wealth, or what we call power in our pocket, that we can treat people with respect. So I'm very pleased, and I'm hoping that you will construct this building. Not only one, very, very quickly. I know much is very small, and it's very difficult to have isolated places, but I guess you'll have security, and that people can walk freely. A small country is difficult, but I'm looking forward for speed. If one project you can speed up, I'm sure Dr. Sammy is going to agree with me, and Madam Speaker, is this 1 year. I don't know if you should have the funds, because I know the UK is concerned about that as well. So you should be able to get the funds without much argument and construct it. Don't let us come again next year and see it in the budget statement again. Because sometimes it's the same thing over and over. Do not put it in the budget if you have the money for it. Making promises, election promises, don't put it in the budget. If you put it in the budget, you plan to do it, or you have some indication you're going to come. The White House. The safe house. Don't put it in the budget and make me do some and do it, like all them things where you have to have in the budget and they're not come true. Madam Speaker, I'm going down a slippery slope, but I have to go down that road. Youth affairs and sports. Dr. Sammy, and Madam Speaker, tell the honourable member don't leave. This morning the honourable member left the house because somebody was talking. I don't say you, yeah? I didn't say you. Madam Speaker, I commend the honourable Parliament Secretary for the idea of the apprenticeship program. And it wasn't new because the high program was a similar program except it was shorter. So this thing about it being new is not new. The high program helping youth prepare for employment was under our administration. A project that we implemented, under the German we had implemented that project, Madam Speaker. Truth is that the time was not long, but it's an apprenticeship program. It's similar, same name, same thing, different name. And there was no element of shadiness in this project, in the high project. None. Absolutely none. There was no element of shadiness in the project. Aye, absolutely none. It was above board, people knew who they were, and people kept on some people them for loan trade. Right now, Madam Speaker, under the youth program, there are persons who are being attached to institutions and are learning one thing. And are coming on to how you evaluate the success of the project. There are persons, Madam Speaker, they're listening, then listen. There are persons, Madam Speaker, attached to some businesses in Montserrat to learn a skill, Madam Speaker. And they sit in a corner and don't learn nothing. And I hope you honourable member understand and know that. Because I know that. And if I know that, it's not my project. So if I know that, he should know that too, because his project, and he must be assessing the individuals when he send them out. The people who are getting paid to keep them is not plenty of money, but they must account for their payment. They must deliver. And if the idea is to show somebody how to polish your shoes, when the person finishes, the person must be able to polish your shoes. But that's what you're paying them for. To get a skill, to learn something. Watch out here, man. They must learn a skill. They must not be sit down in a room by themselves and not be taught anything. And that is what is happening in the project right now. You talk about success. That's what is happening. So you talk about the success by numbers. Numbers is not everything. It's the skills that the people acquire when they finish. That they could go out there and hire themselves and set up a business. Right? If you turn into a shoemaker, when they come out, they must be able to put on a sole or tip a heel. That's what they must do when they come out. They mustn't go in and come out the same way. Right, Madam Speaker? They must do that. The project is successful, that's what you're saying. But for me, I need you to see the analysis. And I'm going to be voting for $750,000 this year for that project. We need more accountability on the project. I don't want you to give me, I want the Ministry of Youth to give me that, Madam Speaker. The money that we spend is not our money. It is taxpayers' money, it is the government of Muslim money, and no politician is accountable for it. It is the accounting officers. And let me make it clear, if I hear the politicians spending government money, they're going to make noise over it. I'm going to go everywhere and talk about it. No minister, and the Minister of Finance knows that. No politician can spend government money. None. I'm coming on to that, Madam Speaker. You see, the project is a good project, but it's not Honorable Donald Womer's project. It's not Honorable Paul's project. It's not Honorable Wilkes' project. It's none of our project. It's the government of Montserrat helping people to learn a skill, apprenticeship. I know it's fashioned after the UK, and I know how the UK own work. I do my research. And nothing like what happened here, nothing what happened in this project happened in that project over here. None. I know how the UK project apprenticeship work. I do my research on it. And I know. Yes, it's longer. They go for 2 years. They went for 2 years. But I know that. But it works. When they leave, either people hire you or you go to an institution. When you send some people at a certain organization, touch them, you can't learn nothing. It's a manifesto promise you I pay them. You get $1,000. That's all you're doing. So at the end of the day, what benefits? Just to get a belly full now and then what happens tomorrow morning? Madam Speaker, I was talking to somebody about the project. And I heard you mention, I heard the honorable members about yesterday. Somebody said to me, wouldn't it be wise if we were to use some of those money and certify some of the people on the project? I never thought about that. Rather than having them because they don't have maths, they don't have English, so nobody will hire them. It's $120 per month or per quarter for maths at University Center. And the person said, but it makes sense. Why not pay for some students, some of these same people, to go to University Center and do maths and English and something else? And then at the end of the day, they can get another job somewhere because they have at least the basic qualification. That is absent right now in that project. So when they leave, and when the money run out like it did last month, they're home sitting down. There's need for some tidying up of that project. There's need for separation of politicians from that project. Let the public servants run it. So that there'll be transparency, accountancy, openness, and accountability. We hear in talk, sometimes people don't tell you certain things. They tell other people. And I don't want anybody to accuse us of doing things that are not above board. I don't know if it's true. Somebody tell me that somebody come off on boat yesterday and get a job this morning on the program. I know if someone goes up. You come from boat yesterday and go on program this morning, you weren't here. And you come on the boat and go on the project. So what's the criteria for going on the project? Actually, I'm going to sleep stove. I prepare to go on the road here. The people on the project, I appreciate them, and I appreciate that anybody who lives here must benefit from what we're doing. But you can't tell me I come off the plane or the boat this afternoon, and tomorrow morning I got on a program, and I'm going to live here. So then there's no, what do you call it? What's the criteria for getting on that program? Can I walk up the road and say, go on after tomorrow morning? That's what happened.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
What's your point of order, Honorable Willock?
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there's a lot of insinuation by the Honorable Leader of the Opposition. I do realize he's speaking his retirement speech, but
Please
I don't...
tell me which ones are the
Well, Madam Speaker, the man
points.
just said that somebody came off. The Honorable Gentleman just said somebody came off a boat and get a job yesterday. That's what he just said?
And the insinuation is what?
So, Madam Speaker, where's the proof? I need to understand what he's saying so I can go and ask my colleagues what has happened.
So you want a clarification?
Well,
of
if that's what it is,
what
if that's what the standing
fact.
orders call for, Madam Speaker, that is what I would like.
He's saying something you want him to clarify?
Yes, I would like
Okay.
to, yes.
Insinuation is a very different thing. Honourable Member, you care to clarify?
When I say yesterday, Madam Speaker, I don't mean yesterday because we were here yesterday. I don't mean yesterday. I'm using what yesterday. But there are people who just come to Montserrat less than a week, and I could tell you who them be, and get on the project. Want me to tell you there? Yes. Let's go, let me tell you them. Want to go now? Yeah, let's go. Madam Speaker, want to go now? Let me go. No. Not in public. I can't call people in public. People cannot defend themselves. I can't call them in public. So in the house.
Write them on a piece of paper and give them to the class.
No. Me never can't outside. No. Put joke aside. Put joke aside. All I'm saying, Honourable Member, Madam Speaker, is that there's need for above board, there's need for criteria, open criteria, and people can't like how you run now. Have a change. Because I'm not going to vote for the money for take a run. And I have a right. If I saw the money going, so it's the project going to run, this new money that we're voting for has to be accounted for. Honourable Premier, Honourable FS, and Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. This project must be streamlined, and the people that think that they're working for individuals. It's a government project. Yeah, kudos to you, to him, Madam Speaker. The project is a good project. And I'm probably with the concept and the thing, but it's the operational activity that I'm worried about. And if I'm worried, it's what I hear some people talking about it as well. So I'm just saying, let us protect ourselves as parliamentarians. Let's protect ourselves as parliamentarians and live above board. I heard yesterday, Madam Speaker, that there are 321. Is it 21 young people in an island? I'm trying to get that. Is it the surveys to determine the people on the island and the skills that they have? No, hold on, don't answer me. No, Speaker. I'm just asking questions. Because, Madam Speaker, if 121 young people on the island, that's fine. But if 321 young people went through the program, and my colleague here alluded to it, it seems to me that we have a serious unemployment problem among our youths. That is what I'm getting at. If the numbers that are not employed in Montreal is 321, we have a serious unemployment problem among our youth. And so you need to talk to your honourable leader so we can do something about that. Right? That is the case.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
What's your point of order, Honourable Willock?
Madam Speaker, I did speak to the issues yesterday, and the honourable member is still accusing that there could be some, what do you call it? Difference in what I've said. I'm willing to provide a document for the House to see, so he can speak to it, so they don't talk like he doesn't have the information. I can give him. I have it right here, Madam Speaker.
What's your point of order? My
point of order, Madam Speaker, no make no sense for us to allow the House or the people of Munster to hear something when the truth is right here. I can give it to him, so he can speak from the document. Because something he's speaking to is misinforming the public as to what the facts are.
Well, you need to tell us what those are, Mr. Willock.
Madam Speaker, yesterday I said that 321 young people have registered to date on the database that we have, 74 employed, 32 full-time college, 23, and I said the troubling figure is 24 unassigned, and I can cut that down to 12 because we have the space for 12. So only 12 people you need to speak about unemployed. Madam Speaker, I spoke to you.
Yeah, and it seemed to me that he was asking questions. He wasn't making any assertions, he was asking questions. And it seemed to me like he was looking for clarifications.
Madam Speaker, I didn't hear a question. He's speaking to what he and his colleagues spoke about.
Quite clearly, and I heard him, I'm asking questions.
Okay, Madam Speaker, I withdraw my point of order.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition,
thank you, Madam Speaker.
Proceed.
Madam Speaker, the point is, I'm still saying, the number 321 is causing me some concern. And even what the Honourable Member tried to clarify, those numbers don't add up to 321. I'm simply saying that, yes, it's in the database, I hear who employed, there are people who are not employed, but school, MSS close sometime July, and you have about 50-odd students coming out. Presently, you have $750,000, well, hopefully, to cater for the present student that we have on the back, because you're only for a year. And the new batch starts now. So the question again, Madam Speaker, will the program be able to absorb Sorry, Madam Speaker, may I?
Please continue. Sorry, continue.
So, Madam Speaker, I'm saying that MSS in two fifth forms probably have about between 45 and 50 students coming out. And the question is whether the program will be able to absorb some of these, not all of them, because some are going to university, some are going to college. But whoever is left, will the program be able to absorb them in addition to? And will the $750,000 that we are going to be voting for in this budget be able to carry them through for the whole year? And that we're not going to come back to us for supplementary again. And that is why we want accountability. That's why we want accountability, Madam Speaker, because we have voted on 2 supplementaries since last year. $111,000 and $200,000. Yes, we have 2 2. The project, when it started off saying 750, and there was nothing that says 750.
Honorable Willock, you specifically yesterday were complaining about being interrupted by the opposition. I would caution you to please, if you're going to comment to your colleagues and keep your voice down. Thank you. I hear you loud and clear.
I heard you.
When you talk to yourself in your head.
Anyhow.
That's what I do. Honorable Willock, I used the word caution just now. Remember? Thank you. Continue, sir.
Madam Speaker, all I'm saying, is trying to protect each other. Because if we don't use that now, we could use it later. I prefer to talk now than to use it later. Right? But, Madam Speaker, I just send away money sometimes, I just send money by Western Union and MoneyGram. So, I have to give money sometimes, I have to send away sometimes. So, whatever that means. Madam Speaker, culture. I am very pleased, barring the deafening noise of some persons about the festival and the management of festivals and St. Patrick's. I'm very pleased, Madam Speaker, that the the Premier's Office on Culture, that the Premier designated the Office of Culture, Arts and Culture, to manage finances for St. Patrick's 2018. Last year, this time, Madam Speaker, there's a buzz of noise around the country about not being paid for work done, not being paid for this. And to date, Madam Speaker, this is 1 month plus after St. Patrick's, and nobody has complained to me that they have not received payment for invoices that they have presented. And that is good. It seems to me, Madam Speaker, that barring out of what happened a couple of years ago, the Premier has put in place a structure under the Arts Council to manage those finances. We have to understand, Madam Speaker, that the finances are taxpayers' money and the public funds, and that they have to be managed and accounted for. And while I hear a lot of noise, I'm wondering, what is the reason for the noise, Madam Speaker, when everybody's being paid? Although there are 1 or 2 people who have not received payment for 2016-17. Just last week, somebody came to me and said, I have I paid for this particular job, 2016-17. I plan to raise it. But this year, I have not heard anything. I understand, Madam Speaker, that a stage was built in Salem Center. And the other stage was built at the park. I'm still trying to find out what the stage was built for in Salem Center, because my understanding and my information that reaches me said to me that it has not been used for anything. So the question is, you're not here, FS. FS is not here. Why are you going to pay to erect a stage if you're not going to use it? And that's the question. And that's what, that information that reaches me, that this stage was built and wasn't used, but we paid for it. And maybe these are some of the things that kind of inflate the St. Patrick's Day budget, St. Patrick's Day budget, and we have to be careful, very careful. I know that some people are very pleased that the Arts Council is managing festivals. But I think they're doing a fairly good job. The question, though, Madam Speaker, is when you have private shows, and I asked a question on my Facebook page, and somebody said all. I asked a question on the Facebook page, which of the St. Patrick's Day program is the taxpayers' money financing? And somebody responded on Facebook, all. I think it's unfair to ask the public to finance private shows that take place in St. Patrick's. It's unfair. It's a private show. If it's not going to make any money, you don't have it. And that is, and I don't mind who gets vexed. If you're having a private show, Madam Speaker, it implies it's a private show. Government will pay for the cultural activities surrounding St. Patrick's. But other shows, Madam Speaker, we don't get, nobody account to the public as to how much was raised, how much was spent, where is this money going to. Just a few days ago, I heard a group that presents some money for Meals and Wales. If you have private shows, I need to hear you saying you're presenting some to somebody else. So these are the good things that happen around St. Patrick's, and some people still fussing and fuming. People who should be responsible and accountable are fussing and fuming about what shouldn't and what should happen. We are all responsible individuals, and we have to manage the limited resources that we have and manage it effectively. Safeguarding public order. Last year budget, or rather earlier in the year, I asked a question about the ferry, the police launch, and I was told that it would be coming last April. Never mind, better late than never. I saw a Facebook thing that showed the police launch being loaded on a ship someplace. And finally, I understand that the course that is coming. I want to commend the people who worked very hard on it. And the police, I want to commend them as well and hope that their job will be made a little easier in safeguarding our borders. We know that illegal activity is supposedly taking place around our borders. And that this boat would enhance the operations of the police service. At least it would kind of help them protect their lives as well. I hope you have some good power machine guns on it, so at least they could do something on it, because the other boats are they fast and have pretty guns, so I hope that you have some ammunition on it as well to protect them, because, no, seriously, they must have some ammunition on it, otherwise it doesn't make sense. If you're running drug traffickers, you can't control them if you don't have the kind of thing to confront them. They destroy you too. So I must compliment them. I'm very happy. I'm looking forward. Excuse me. We're looking forward for the arrival of that boat, Heliconia Sun. Heliconia Star. I believe he named it, you know. Heliconia Star. We look forward for it coming here and start patrolling our waters and to eliminate some of the illegal activities that have been taking place in our country. My colleagues speak to education, but I just want to say one thing, Madam Speaker. I must compliment the Minister again for the lockers that are being installed at the Munster Secondary School. Because in the absence of forms assigned to students, children are traveling up the hillside with bags of books on their backs. And some of them are complaining about back pain already, because huge bags with books on the back wheel of the hillside. I'm very pleased that the lockers are being installed. I have one concern, Madam Speaker. It's the protection of the privacy of the students. The school must understand that students have privacy. And if there's an incident or report of something happening legally, no teacher has the right to open the locker in the absence of the student. It is the right of the student to ensure, it's the right of the teachers to ensure that the student is present whenever the locker is being opened. People are people. And infringing of rights of the individual is an offense. So while the locker is welcome, the duplicate keys must be kept by, I think, some senior person in the office. And only that person and that person alone should have the right to visit the locker with the student to investigate any report received. And I will still champion that cause, Madam Speaker, that every child has a right and no teacher has the right to check a child locker in their absence. Madam Speaker, I speak for a handful of poor children who are forced to do the school-based assessment in Form 5. They don't have computer at home, Madam Speaker. They don't have the need, the resources, Madam Speaker, to assist them to complete those school-based assessments, and they're expected to do them. Madam Speaker, some provision must be made, either at school or preferably giving some assistance to students who are doing school-based assessment, to have some access to a computer and printer and other resources. This particular student, Madam Speaker, was running wild, not being able to complete the school-based assessment on a certain subject because he had no computer at home, he didn't have a printer, and they were not able to find papers. And the school did not have anything to offer them. The school don't have ink for the printer, at least I'm going to tell them. The school don't have papers, Madam Speaker, and there's no computer available. So how do we expect a student to complete a required line of study, school-based assessment, if they can't afford these things? What is in place? What can be put in place to ensure that such students are not disadvantaged, are not put at disadvantage because they are unable to provide these things for themselves? Paper. I remember paper is $20. So you can't tell me if you do a school-based assessment that school can buy a case of paper and manage it for those students who can't afford to do it. A box of paper is $100 and something, I believe, or $200. So Honorable Minister of Finance, I would suggest that we do something to help these people. And the school must report. If there are people, if there are children in the class who can't make it, the school must report it to the ministry so that the ministry can, in fact, do something to help these students. We cannot afford to let our children fail because we are failing them. We just cannot. Thanks for the work that has been done at Brains Primary. Finally, the toilet facilities are up and running. Well, almost up and running, not quite completed. They have been running for about 2 years now. This project is in the making, but I know that work is progressing on it, and I want to thank you all very much for that. Madam Speaker, I turn to the third component of my coffee break. I turn to the third component of my presentation. Budgetary figures. Madam Speaker, last year we budgeted a recurrent budget of $128.4 million in this House. And based on what I've seen, and I don't have actuals, and Honorable Premier, your office may want to give us some actuals next to the figures, because in the absence of actuals, we are speculating. I know that there are some variation or some revised estimates, some revised figures. That I could understand, but I would love to see some actuals. Maybe I don't know if it's too early to see actuals against the projected, the estimated figures. You follow what I'm saying, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, I'm saying that the estimates as it is, I have not seen the actuals for this year. I've seen the estimated amount, and in case where they revise, I see the revised figures, but I've not seen the actuals. So I'm just speaking because maybe what I'm saying, that the figures differ because of the actuals. But whatever it means, the revised we received 124.4 million, which means we had a deficit, we over budgeted, or we didn't collect a variance of $4.2 million on the recurrent. So we budgeted 128.4, we received 124.4, so we have a deficit of $4.4 million. That was last year. That was last year. That's last year. Sorry, 2017-18. No, sorry. Sorry, let me get this right. 2017-18. Yeah. Okay. The recurrent, this last year, yes. You received 124.4. You had a variance of 4.4 million. Okay, the budget expenditure was 128.4, but you spent, and this is probably actual, this is what I'm talking about actual. It is the actual figure, 123.5. That's what you spent. So you actually budgeted, but you spend less, which is, you say, is good. I'm not sure if that's good because just maybe, because you didn't collect all those monies, you may have to cut some services. So it's not, I'm not saying it's a plus not to spend. It's a plus because you didn't get it. It's not a plus because I didn't get it, but just maybe that some projects suffered because you weren't able to raise the amount of money. You have to cut some projects, and that is quite clear. And the contribution from us was 50.4 million, and we only raised 47.7. So we had a variance of 2.7 over what we budgeted for 2017-18. But we had a capital budget of 31.1. It's like one that. And we had two supplementary appropriation bills. 1.7 something million and I think 40 million thereabout. We had two supplementary appropriations. 40,000? 40,000? Yeah. Which gave us total expenditure, total package for the year, what, 129 million, what 200 plus million. Sorry, 30, I'm mixing two of them. 32, we had $31.1 million we budgeted for initially. We had a supplementary of 1,745,500, and we had another one for 40,800, which gave us a total capital budget of $32.9 million. Right. Of that, Madam Speaker, we spent 14.65 million. I stand corrected because I'm not sure whether the 1,745,000 was for a specific project, and maybe that may have been spent. So I stand corrected, but I'm putting them together supplementary that this House approved for the capital project. We spent 14.65, and Madam Speaker, we're rolling over. And nothing is wrong, we roll over, but it's the quantum that bothers me. We can roll over projects because the lifespan could go over. But it's the quantum, Madam Speaker, $16.7 million roll over in projects. 1 year. 16.7 million. Grossly underspent. And we blame it on the hurricanes. I don't see why. I don't see how. Because, yes, ships were able to come in for a few weeks. Containers were backed up in St. Martin and St. Thomas for a few weeks. But if we're planning ahead, I don't see how you can justify not spending much more of this. The hurricane came in September. In December, you had only spent 5 million. I think that's what we got, if I'm not mistaken. December, 5 or 10 million. No, 10 million. 10 million. 10 million. Yeah, 10 million. I'm trying to put my computer in. 10 million. So even then, Madam Speaker, we were underspending. And at the end of the financial year, project we're going to spend we're going to spend 14.65, underspent by 16.7. So, I know there was a small capital project. I don't know if so last year, the year of 1.5 million. That don't come to us. That is managed someplace else. That's different. Madam Speaker, The total capital project for the budget for this year is 33.6, about 33.6. And when in my preamble, Madam Speaker, I spoke about public servants who want to diminish our ambitions. And I don't want to blame anybody. And I'm caught between there's a dichotomy here, because it's local government and it's funding agents. What is interesting, Madam Speaker? Of the $33.6 million in the capital budget, 14 point something million is EU funding for this year. 14 point something $million. $10 million rollover from EU funding last year. 10 million, 10.3, whatever it was there. Defeat rollover, and I'm standing corrected for this one here, defeat rollover from last year is $7 million. Madam Speaker, EU money is for specific projects. Defeat money, as far as I'm concerned, is to lay the foundation for economic takeoff. I might be wrong, but that's what I think. EU would give us money for projects, some specific projects, and that's fine. But we expect defeat to help us to lay the foundation to get off the ground. Is it that we cannot negotiate effectively or refuse to negotiate effectively so that we have not received a single dollar, and I'm corrected, I stand to correction again, we have received a single dollar in new money from defeat for 2017, 2018-19? Is that a fact? The figures are not showing not a single dollar as new money for the capital project from defeat for this year. We have $140,000 from OPTEP and those people. Basically, environmental project, $140,000 new money. The only money we have new, and I could be corrected, is the $14.2 million from EU, and about $2 million from someplace else, Lewis here, OTEP, and those and Darwin project, which are agricultural environmental projects. That's all we have. So the question, Madam Speaker, how can we honestly say that the UK want to get us out of granting aid? How can we honestly say that we are putting things in place for them to help us to take off? When in the fourth year of an administration, a budget comes with no capital in it. And we knew that since January, because the team that was here was bold enough to go on radio demonstrate a press conference and say that they agree on a recurrent budget. But with due respect, Madam Speaker, is it that we have not completed all the fixing, or is it that the Premier is not negotiating hard enough? Is it that he has to put in place a negotiating team? I think members in his office have the skills, the knowledge of how to negotiate with people like defeat. So how is it that we have not received a single dollar as new money for the budget this year, capital budget? Yes, they gave us some money, $78,000 for the recurrent, and we're thankful. But recurrent does not contribute to economic growth. Recurrent money is spent on goods and services. You pay salaries, you buy medication for the hospital, you buy this, you buy that. That's what it does. A couple of dollars by going to a supermarket for some paper and some ink and for the computer and so. But it does not contribute significantly to economic development. It is the capital side of the project that we depend upon to create jobs and to build an economy. How can any funding agent in a year, given year, at the beginning of a given year, do not give you a cent? And where do we cast the blame? I'm not saying it's defeat alone. I'm not saying local government alone. But somewhere along the line, somebody is failing the people of Montreal. Somebody is failing the people of Montreal somewhere along the line, Madam Speaker. So had it not been for the EU funds, we would have been simply rolling over some projects that not even create jobs. Because it's the finishing of the sewage at solid waste plant at Boy Hill, building a tank someplace else, some cemetery work, money left over from cemetery work. These are the monies that we're talking about, Madam Speaker. A couple of dollars in the housing votes. These make up the $7 million. Not a single new dollar. I don't know how the Premier feel. I don't know how they feel. How can I tell my people, I'm borrowing a phrase from my colleague, how can I tell my people that there's no hope for them in terms of capital? There's no new money. How can I tell them that I negotiated and if you tell me no? How can I tell them that I will not be able to create significant amount of jobs? How can I tell them that I won't be able to give them anything because they didn't give me money? But maybe if it's smart, you know. Maybe if you think that they're going to put out the money for election. For election. I'm not saying that's the best thing for us, eh? Our people suffering, Madam Speaker. I'm not saying so. I'm simply saying, maybe if it is saying, okay, hold on, guys. Election coming up, and I want to control what happened. So I'm not putting no money in the kitty. I don't hear the Premier laugh, so I know he's kind of guilty, you know. So, Madam Speaker, the people of this country continue to survive from hand to mouth. And one would ask the question, why would we as a people continue to hold on to a country that's not helping us to mature? Children leave their mother's house when they come a certain age and they become independent. The question I ask without fear, Madam Speaker, is that why do we continue, can we continue to hold on, rather than why, can we continue to hold on to a country that we call mother, and yet until we die? What are they doing to help us? And should we continue to depend on them and them alone? What other initiatives can we take as a country and as leaders? We need to start thinking outside the box and looking for new initiatives where we can raise funds and then we can borrow. But there are people out there who will come in and help us. I can tell you for certain, Madam Speaker, that the port at Carsway would have been built by private sector. I could tell you that for certain. I could tell you that for certain, Madam Speaker. The port in Carsway would have been built under our administration by a private sector. So we can't afford to limit a wake water by £14.4 million. We have to go there and seek. They can't tell you don't beg and borrow. You can't beg. You can borrow without permission, but you could beg. And they can't tell you that if an investor is coming in here, having done due diligence on the investor, that you can't allow them to invest in Montreal. They can't tell you that. So let's get up and forget about this first-class business. Let's get up and go there and attract investors. Yes, we are small. Yes, our population is small. But let us go there and tell people to come to Montreal and invest something. Offer them what you have to offer them. If it means you have to give them tax break for 20 years, provided you create employment, that is what we have to do. And I'm very passionate. This thing about waiting for handout, waiting for dole, don't pay off, you're not going to pay. As I said to you already, anybody who in England living on dole, they will tell you they're barely surviving. So is dole we looking for? No. No. We have to become more reliable, and we have to go out there and attract people. And though we are small, people say you're small in terms of the population, and return on investment can be small, but look for the kind of investor that want to come and make some sacrifice. Because there's money out there. Money out there. Madam Speaker, underspent or rollover. The DG office, $180,000. Office of the Premier, $4 million. plus or minus, $4 million. Ministry of Finance, $2.8 million. Is that my figures, eh? They come from the estimate, so you could clarify them and tell me if me out of order. Ministry of Agriculture, $3.24 million. I don't know if that is still there because maybe it's part of housing money, but I don't know if it's still there. $3 million. Ministry of Commerce and Works, $9.4 million. Ministry of Education, $819,000. And Ministry of Health, $473,000, $474. I don't know if these monies are still there or whether they were pending work that's going on now, but this is what I got and this is what I use. That's why I see the figures I put for us. And any holding back from us not going to help because we're going to cut 19.2 and go through the figures. We're not expert analysis, but we're going to go through the figures and understand what it means for us. Madam Speaker, European Union funds, I believe, were never intended to replace the responsibility of the UK. I don't think so. They were designed to supplement what we receive from the UK. But in this budget, Madam Speaker, it is the EU funding, in addition to what's to come, apart from the $14.4 million, which was UK. And that $14.4 million didn't need any big negotiation. It's a package of funds, as my colleague pointed out, a portion based on some criteria, so it's no big negotiation. We got to take a portion of it, we should get half of that, instead of $14.4 million. We should get half of that, because we are British, at least, so they say. Or so we say. So we say. Because maybe they don't think we're British, eh? We think that we are British, but maybe they don't think so. Because the 14.4 is not a negotiated figure, you just get it. It's there. And the EU, 18 point something euro, 4 euro, that is also part of the offer package of money, but you have to put something in place to get that. That's fine. But that would come in any case, what we have to do. But I can't understand why the majority of the capital project comes from EU. Is it that the British is considering EU funds their funds? I know they contribute to EU. But is it, are they saying, okay, you're getting EU funds, so we don't have to put them? No! Totally different altogether. The EU funds is for specific, as I said, and the other fund is to build the foundation for the country to take off. It does appear that the UK is saying, well, if I defeat whole lot, that's enough. Madam Speaker, the good thing about this budget, the good thing about the budget last year is that we're kind of reversing the ratio of services versus emoluments. Because what I noticed is that we spent $59 million, that's recurrent, which is 46% of the recurrent budget last year. And we spent $79.2 million on services, which is $54 million. So at least somebody's trying to help us to get the ratio right. It's a 60-40 ratio. I don't know how they're going to get it down to that, but at least see what they're getting there. But maybe they will ask you to do something differently, Honorable Premier, to get it down to 60-40. Madam Speaker, I noticed that there was an increase in the recurrent budget for this year. And I wondered when I heard the amount of services, new projects that are on stream or coming on stream, I wonder how they're going to fund them. Or are we going to do like what we did last year, just taking money from one line to another line to get something done? Because when I look at the figures and I look at the projects, I realize, hey, this doesn't spell right. $131.1 million. Where does that help us? Is it that the pound, and the pound has risen, the pound was 4.7 yesterday, so I don't know what rate you use for the pound. So just maybe that the difference is between the pound sterling. Just maybe. That carries to that. Just maybe. I don't know. Because the pound is going up. I don't know what rate you use, because I don't have a fixed rate. Madam Speaker, when I look at the figures, I note that a few services went up, just a few. But most of them, Madam Speaker, receive a cut. It's a 5% or 10% cut, most of them. Let me draw an example, Madam Speaker. Agricultural services last year got 20 million, 2 million. Or let me call it 2.1 million. And this year, they're getting 1.6613,300. They're getting 1,661,300. So that's a cut. About 10%, 15%, 10%, about. That's what they get, Madam Speaker. So they cut. And I think the minister alluded to it yesterday. The housing policy unit, which is housing office, last year they got $739,000. This year, they're getting $575,000. I don't know if they're losing staff or the shift staff, whatever it is. I guess the minister is in a better position to determine that. There were some cuts and there were some increases, Madam Speaker. Primary education, for instance, got a slight increase from 1.8 to 2 million. Whereas, for instance, international relations, which is a small ministry in his thing. Airport management got an increase, but plant hire at Comes and Works, they got a reduction of about $100,000, thereabouts. So I'm not sure whether these monies for the other projects were trimmed from figures last year. It does seem so, though. So the $131 million, Madam Speaker, is not the whole of the money. Based on our expenditure last year, we spent $123 million. And I don't know how we expect where we're going to find this money from, because we fell short last year in our collection. And if you go to the revenue side, Madam Speaker, I know that there's some ambitious estimation or projections for revenue. And I don't know how, if you fell short this year, how are you going to, what is going to allow you to get more money last year? For instance, Madam Speaker, the whole thing about personal taxation, Madam Speaker, up by 2 million. Taxation comes from employed persons. You fell a little bit this year. So how are you going to get that? How are you going to raise that additional $2 million? Unless you're going to create a lot of jobs. I don't know how you're going to do that. I would want to know that, Madam Speaker, how you're going to do that. Positive income tax last year was $13 million. This year is $15.9 million. The bank levy, I know the bank levy last year was $1.8 million. This year is 1.5. So what's the rationale for the drop? The levy, the bank levy, is in here. Last year you budgeted for 1.8. This year you budgeted for 1.5. Don't know what the rationale for that. Import duties, last year you got 6.7. This year you budgeted for 6.8. So you expect some activities. I hope the construction industry is going to kick up so that things will come into the country. It's interesting, the nursery school, for instance, last year we budgeted $105,000. And this year, we budgeted $75,000. What's happening? Is it that fewer children are going to nursery, or we have fewer children, we need to start pushing the population a little bit more? Is it that we you're laughing? I would tell you why you're asking that, yeah, right. Sorry. No, he said that you budgeted $105,000 last year, and this year you budgeted $75,000. The school bus receipts. What is happening here? You budgeted $80,000 last year, and this year you budget $58,000. Am I speaking sleeping? No, sorry. Sorry, okay, I just want to make sure you're with me. Landholding license. Landholding license is doing pretty well. $300,000 last year, you budget $300,000. But I can guarantee you, Madam Speaker, you see what happened when some of us are irresponsible? Sorry, that's quite a harsh word. We repealed the landholding license. One of the first things they did was to repeal the landholding license. In that bill, Madam Speaker, sorry, landholding bill. In that bill, Madam Speaker, provision was made for $250 as a registration fee, application fee for landholding license. So each person who applied for a landholder license would have paid a registration, a non-refundable legislation, a non-refundable application fee of $250. You know what that would have meant to this budget, to this figure here? $3,000. Every person who applied would have paid $250, your money. But lack of foresight, and wanting to satisfy. I try to find a good word, man, so you don't tell me I'm out of order. I wanted to satisfy political promises. They repealed that bill and forfeit the monies that would have been raised from that. Calculate it, find out the number of applications that you have here, multiply by 250, see what you lose. I did a rough draft, but do that. You see how much money you lose. If you had leave that bill in place. But honorable. So, Madam Speaker, I'm not going to go on much longer. The budget before us doesn't present us with anything fantastic, anything exciting. It's just that we have enough money to run our recurrent budget, or recurrent, pay our staff and buy our medication and whatever thing. That is fine. In terms of the capital side, we brought over some monies, 16 million from last year. We have another 10 million from EU, 7 million brought over from David. So $31 million. Can we please spend that money now? What is required to spend it now. If you need export, send for them where they can. We're famous for bringing in all kinds of people. If you want somebody to do, I don't think you want an export to tell you how to build certain things. But if you do, get them. People want jobs. People want jobs. I'm going to end on one note, Madam Speaker. One final note, apart from the small capital fund. And I'll talk about that. I heard the Honourable Minister of Agriculture yesterday talking about the number of persons in Montserrat without proper sanitary facilities. And that he is working with DFID. He asked DFID to look at United Nations goal and for poverty and see if they can get some money for that. You see, I said it early on, you have to be careful what you say when you're in opposition or when you're on the platform. Madam Speaker, I started a project like that in 2012, 2013. And members on the government side branded toilets for votes. Toilets for votes. We were trying to help people who were, unfortunately, did not have the facility that they required for them to live in a good sanitary condition. And we were mocked and scorned by some people, saying that we were giving toilets for votes. Now, Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister is now reinventing that wheel, trying to find money, because there's no money for it. You have to find the money. There's no vote for it. We found some money, and we were doing it. Now he has to go and find money, because there's no vote for it. And the number's about 40-odd, or maybe more now, 40-odd persons who needed toilets at the time. And, Madam Speaker, we cannot afford to have our people living in less than normal conditions. So maybe I'm putting a plug here for the minister. But I think he called it election toilets. But I say, I'm not going to call it so. I'm not going to call it so. I'm not calling it so at all. I'm simply concerned, because maybe in the fifth year, I could call it the same thing. But I'm not going to do that. Because I'm concerned about people and the quality of life. So, Madam Speaker, the budget before us is not what I expected. But I guess we have to live with it. And I'm hoping that the Honorable Premier can put together a proper negotiating team and go there and seek finances, not only from established donors, but from people who might be willing to invest in a small island state. I thank you.